If you've ever been snowed in all weekend, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. I hope that you all had a great weekend as that winter storm really crushed a majority of the United States. Snow, ice, freezing temperatures, whatever it is, I hope that you had a great weekend and were able to make it through. Congrats, of course, to the Seahawks and Patriots for securing their trip to the Super Bowl. We have a start of a big earnings week here this week. So it is starting here. 20% of the S&P reports. We have big reports from companies like Tesla and Meta coming this week. So a lot to get through here today. It is Monday, January 26th, the Benzinga Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday edition for January 26, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces, and I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. We are back at it for another market week here where we try to make sense of all of the stuff going on. In the meantime, we're going to try and extract some money from that. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here. Brent is first here today. Good morning, Brent, the early bird, getting the worm as per usual, which I absolutely love to see. Loving that 7 a.m. push on BATL. That's one of our movers here today that we'll break down in the pre-market pulse section. Brent, good to see you here this morning. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, good morning to the Benzie gang. And good morning to you, Zach. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Welcome back, buddy. It's good to see you. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Welcome back. Brian, good morning and welcome back. Good morning and congrats to all who survived the Arctic tundra. Yeah, indeed. It was fun. It was a bit cold, but it was fun. Yeah, so fine. Good morning. Welcome back. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave. Good morning. Freezing from South Louisiana. And I bet you Louisianians, that's the right word, right? I bet you all are not used to that down there. Hopefully all is well. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Neville, good morning. Welcome back. Producer, thanks for all you do, of course. Billy, good morning. Billy mentioning BNAI, which is having a monster move. Congrats if anyone held that thing. Holy smokes. And USAR, which we're also going to talk about, that had news over the weekend with the government possibly taking a stake. So lots of stuff going on here early. Matthew, good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome back. Lost Penny, good morning. Deep in the snow in New York City, Igloo. You know, I turned on Squawk Box this morning on Worldwide Exchange, and it looks like there was a ton of snow in New York. That's what we got here in Chicago on Saturday and Sunday. It was wild. Stay warm. Neville, good morning. I like the beat too on that countdown. I'll be honest with you. I think the producer did a really good job. He found the right music for that. It fits really, really well. Jim, good morning. It's good to see you again. Carlos, good morning. Welcome back. Marty, good morning. Welcome back. Tyler, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Day Trader, good morning. Good to see you again, as always. Whisk, good morning. Up 30X, good morning. Lambo Rolls, good morning. Just passing through, good morning. JJ, good morning. Day Trader, just salting everybody up here. I don't know what y'all are talking about. 60s all weekend, 70 this week. That's Southern California attitude right there for you. Doesn't care about snow. Glad you're able to enjoy the weather. I personally like the snow. I was able to deal with it okay, but Day Trader's got some sass for you here this morning. G-Cord, good morning. I'll like the stream anyway, Day Trader says. Okay, Day Trader's also got a sense of humor, it would appear, so that's good. Maverick, good morning. It's good to see you again. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Welcome back. Empyrean, good morning. Welcome back. Oscar, good morning. Durkus, good morning. Kenneth, good morning. Who am I missing here? Tom, good morning. Kino, good morning. Lion, good morning. Lion, I got something for you today. Rooster, good morning. SH, good morning. What happened to the crown? I don't do crowns, unless you're asking about CoreWeave, which we can check on. Let me actually add that to the list because I'll probably forget. We'll see how that's doing here today. ACA, good morning. Graph, good morning. Life in Beta, good morning. Tin Hat, good morning. Tin Hat also reminding us that it's a warm day in Miami Beach. That's good. Actually, I heard Florida actually escaped a lot of this one. In fact, one of my buddies went down there to avoid it. Robot, good morning. Quantum, good morning. Jeremy, good morning. Shady, good morning. Ed, good morning. Amasar, good morning. Brian, good morning. CMed, good morning. Seahawks exhibited bear-like qualities yesterday. Indeed, they did. Defense played really well. Sam Darnold, biggest game of his life, actually played well. So we'll see. We'll see how this turns out. Rematch in the Super Bowl there. Neville, good morning. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures mixed here this morning. They were all in the red in the overnight session and when the early morning started, but they've pared back quite a bit of their losses, significantly up off their lows here this morning. S&P futures holding down 0.05%. Dow futures are actually turned positive. They're up 0.03%, and the NASDAQ down 0.2%. Again, all three indices up off of their overnight and early morning lows. Let's go ahead and take a look at some cues from last session. Materials, consumer discretionary, and consumer staple stocks recorded the biggest gains on Friday, with financial and industrial stocks bucking the trend to close lower. This week, investors are eyeing up from earnings from United Health Group, ticker UNH, General Motors, ticker GM, Microsoft, ticker MSFT, Meta Platforms, ticker META, Tesla, ticker TSLA, and Starbucks, ticker SBUX, and others. Again, about 20% of the S&P reporting this week. Investors will also keep an eye on the Federal Open Market Committee's decision on interest rates, which is slated to be announced on Wednesday. As a reminder, the CME Fed Watch tool has been giving us a 95% reading pretty much all of last week. Looks like as of this morning, it's ticked up to 97.2% of no cut in this meeting this week. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.21%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.59%. Now, we have several stocks in focus here today. First one is going to be BKR. That is Baker Hughes. Baker Hughes was 3.74% higher in the pre-market after posting upbeat results for the fourth quarter. Company posted adjusted earnings of 78 cents per share, which beat the market estimate of 67 cents per share. The next stock that we have on our list is Sarepta. This is ticker SRPT, and what a volatile stock this has been. It jumped 6.72% after it announced the completion of the confirmatory trial commitment for its ultra-rare disease PMO therapeutics Amandis 45 and Viandis 53, along with its third quarter results. The next stock on our list is going to be Nucor. This is ticker NUE. That was 0.29% higher as it projected to post quarterly earnings of $191 per share on revenue of $7.87 billion after the closing bell. WR Berkeley, ticker WRB, is the next stock on our list. That was 0.18% lower ahead of its earnings scheduled to be released after the closing bell tonight. Analysts are expecting quarterly earnings of $113 per share on revenue of $3.66 billion. The last stock on our list here is Brand Engagement Network, and this is one of our smaller movers that has gone to the stratosphere here. The ticker is BNAI, and yeah, it's not a misprint. It popped 221.6% as bullish sentiment persists following last week's strategic announcement that has reinvigorated investor interest. The catalyst remains the strategic partnerships with Valeo Technologies, designed to create an exclusive AI licensing structure for government and commercial sectors across Africa. All right, folks, let's take a look at the SPY. Let's see where we sit and where we can expect to test here this week. Let me zoom in here. Sorry, I normally have this chart prepared, but a little slow this Monday. So here we go. Let me actually make this a little bit easier to see here for us. So here we go. We basically are trading sideways around the 20-day, and this is one of the reasons why we focus so much on the 20-day. It often will determine which direction the market is going. Now, I have that value at 688.82. I have the current price here in the pre-market at 689.10. So we're technically right above that. Realistically, we want to see if we can move higher out of this sideways range. You can see the bodies of the candles are quite compressed. We have wicks in each direction, excuse me. And we have a bit of a gap in each direction as well. The bottom of the candle here from, what day is that? February 16th. January 16th. I beg your pardon. Candle there is about 691 and 3/4. I would really say that this 691 to 692 area might make some significant resistance here today. And then we also have this gap that fills down here at about 185 and a half. So I would expect the market to pick a direction here by the early morning action. I'm encouraged that we were bought up off of the overnight lows. So I guess if I had to pick one here, I would say we probably try that range higher. Yet to be determined if we're strong enough to actually make a move higher. One of the things that we've seen here is, although we've oscillated back and forth, we really haven't had the conviction to move up or down in any significant way. And that includes with some of the chaotic, if you will, headlines that we've got. It might send the market down for a day or two, but we very quickly rebound. And on that rebound, we don't really push into new highs. So is it going to be earnings something this week? Is it going to be the Fed meeting this week that maybe pops us out of the sideways range? That's what we'll be looking at. Yet to be determined here so far. Now, let's take a look at some insights from analyst Mohamed El-Arian highlights a continuing 2025 paradox where financial markets and economic forecasts remain surprisingly resilient despite investors being forced to drink from a geoeconomic fire hose. How many of you feel like that's what's going on here? While U.S. economic activity appears robust, evidenced by strong consumer spending and third quarter growth revised upward to 4.4%, he notes a divergence in global views. Some see recent tremors as temporary, while others warn that global paradigms are shifting in a fundamental and durable fashion. Regarding the stock market, El-Arian observes that equities have successfully retraced losses triggered by these geopolitical tensions, though he points to a historic surge in precious metals as being a notable counterintuitive. And this is where I just want to take a pause right now. Gold and silver obviously trading higher again here today. I just want to shout out Lion for his call on 5K gold. Perhaps I'm not remembering all of the different excellent comments that we get here, but I know for a fact Lion had been pounding the table on gold, even giving a $5,000 price target long before we actually hit this area, and now here we are. So that 5K price target has hit. I know several others have price targets above. I know the view on metals and gold still very, very high here. So Lion, take a victory lap. Congrats on your call on that one. We got it. And frankly, if I'm being completely honest, we got it in shorter order than I thought we would. I'm not traditionally a metals trader. I do like to own some of the actual physical metal of each of these, which I keep in a safe in my bedroom. However, that call was excellent. We've actually got that now, and gold futures hit 5,000 for the first time. Looking ahead, he, El-Arian, anticipates the Federal Reserve will maintain interest rates as markets have, quote, priced out virtually any Fed cut until a change in chair, end quote. And remember, leading up to all of this, before we got these percentages from the Fed CME Watch tool, we floated this. We suspected, especially after we got that last cut at the end of last year, that, hey, with all of the bickering and the back and forth that's going on, it's quite possible that we actually don't see a cut until there is a new Fed chair. Powell's seat is up in May. We'll see who gets selected next and what happens until then. El-Arian also expects immediate focus to shift to corporate earnings from tech giants like Apple and Microsoft, alongside political friction involving trade tariffs and the Federal Reserve's independence. Ultimately, while the economy shows strength, El-Arian suggests investors must navigate a landstop where political and structural shifts constantly change the market's stability. Shout out to all of you who have used some of this volatility as an opportunity to take advantage of that as active traders. That's something that we can do. we get outsized moves fairly quickly here. I know there's been a lot of them recently. Pat on the back to all of you for being able to do that. Now, a really quick look ahead this week at some of the economic events. On Monday, the delayed report for November's durable goods order will be released at 8:30. That's coming out in about 15 minutes. On Tuesday, January's consumer confidence data will be out by 10. On Wednesday, we do have the FOMC announcing the interest rate decision at 2 and Fed Chair Powell holding a press conference at 2:30. I got to say, given the fact that it sure looks like we're not going to do anything, that's what I think, and I think the market's priced that in as well. I suspect, as always, his conference is really going to be what moves the market the most. I assume traders are going to be hanging on that, and then we'll react to that after it's done. On Thursday, the initial jobless claims for the data week ending January 24th. The delayed report will be November's U.S. trade deficit, and the revised third quarter data for U.S. productivity will be released by 8:30 in the morning. On Friday's December's delayed producer price index data will be released at 8:30. January's Chicago Business Barometer PMI will be out by 9:45. And St. Louis Fed President Alberto Musalem will speak at 1:30. Vice Chair of Supervision Michelle Bowman will speak at 5. All right, now let's talk about this winter storm that affects everyone except our Florida and California folk, evidently. Winter Storm Fern to impact energy, utilities, and stocks. We've got a couple that we're going to talk about. We have seen natural gas trade higher here. Well, I don't advise chasing that. It's been a good move so far. Winter Storm Fern is anticipated to have significant impact on energy and power production, leading to potential stock fluctuations in the energy sector. Here are some of the stocks that we can keep an eye on. One other thing, I know we just had this storm over the weekend, and I don't mean to spread panic or anything like that. We'll see how this all shakes out. It does look like there's the possibility of yet another winter storm this upcoming weekend, particularly on the East Coast. So again, keep our eyes on that. We'll see if there's maybe another storm behind this one. The recent surge in nat gas prices, coupled with potential production disruptions, has put natural gas producers in the spotlight amid ongoing winter storms. Companies like Antero Resources, which is ticker AR, EOG Resources, ticker EOG, and Expanded Energy, ticker EXE, and Coterra Energy, ticker CTRA, are expected to see significant upside. CTRA, I believe, is a Tim Melvin pick, too, on natural gas. The freezing of natural gas equipment and pipelines, which rely on electrical power, could lead to a halt in pipeline activity. And this could impact companies like Energy Transfer, ticker ET, which I believe we looked at on Friday, OneOK, ticker OKE, Kinder Morgan, ticker KMI, Enterprise Product Partners, ticker EPD, and Williams and Company, ticker WMB. For anyone that wants to store this list of possible energy plays here, this article is great. There's a ton of tickers in here that will give you basically a watch list to see how this shakes out over the week. Again, if we see more winter storms kicking up by the end of this weekend, perhaps we will get another trade in some of these names. That story is in the chat for any of you that want to take note of those companies. The storm's heavy snow, freezing rain, and ice could potentially cause prolonged power outages for millions of homes. How many of you folks dealt with power issues? I will say, and knock on wood, so this doesn't happen again, despite the extreme cold here in the Chicago region and the snow that was much more than forecasted, never had any trouble with power. And that allowed it to be a rather comfortable weekend. And I know that's not the case for everybody out there. So just really curious to know, if any of you dealt with power issues. And producer, I have a message. Oh, no, looks like it's okay. Sorry about that. The ongoing winter storm Fern has already caused widespread disruptions across the U.S., affecting various sectors, including energy production and power markets. The storm is forecasted to bring heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain, which significantly impacts southern plains like the lower Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley, the Southeast, and parts of the Northeast. The storm has also led to the cancellation of thousands of flights, affecting travelers nationwide. Godspeed to anyone who's been trying to travel here. I can't imagine what that was like here this week. I'm very, very glad I didn't have to do that. That affected multiple airlines such as Delta, ticker DAL, JetBlue Airways, ticker JBLU, and United Airlines, ticker UAL, and have preemptively canceled flights, with more than 9,400 flights also canceled. I would imagine today is going to be very, very hectic at a lot of these airports, especially the one by me at O'Hare. It's going to be pretty crazy. I would imagine that tomorrow we might see a arc towards resumption of normalcy for some of these flights and some of these airline companies. Meanwhile, PJM, the largest U.S. power grid, warned of a potential winter peak on January 27th. That day is tomorrow, and is coordinating with generators and transmission owners. Utility CenterPoint Energy, which is ticker CNP, and Duke Energy, ticker DUK, announced preparation plans to ensure a reliable power supply. So again, a lot going on there. We'll see if any of that kicks up again, if we have another bout of some of these storms coming this weekend. I got a couple more really quick news stories before we get to our special guest here on Monday. I think you all are going to be excited about. This next story here is going to be on Ionic. So some of the quantum names making more noise here. IONQ, ticker IONQ, is making its biggest move yet to expand control over its quantum technology stack, agreeing to acquire U.S. chipmaker manufacturer Skywater Technologies, that's ticker SKYT, in a deal that deepens its manufacturing footprint and aligns with growing federal support for advanced computing. IONQ agrees to buy Skywater Technologies for $35 per share, valuing the transaction at roughly $1.8 billion, and that came from company executives talking to the Wall Street Journal. Skywater shareholders will receive $15 in cash and $20 in Ionic stock for every share that they own. You know, I don't know any Skywater holders here, but I'd be curious what you think of this deal. Do you like the 15 in cash and 20 in stock? Would you prefer all cash? I guess on the back of the Netflix deal, that question seems pertinent. But nonetheless, this is how it's going to break down. Ionic, or IONQ, held $1.5 billion in cash and cash equivalents as of September 30th, 2025. IONQ expects the deal to create a vertically integrated quantum platform that will help reduce production timelines and costs. After the deal closes, Skywater will continue operating under its existing name as a wholly owned subsidiary. Skywater CEO Thomas Sonderman will lead the unit and report directly to IONQ Chairman and CEO Niccolo De Masi. IONQ leadership said the acquisition builds on rising enthusiasm within the U.S. government for domestic semiconductor manufacturing and quantum computing. The Skywater deal adds to a growing list of acquisitions, for IONQ. In 2025, the company agreed to acquire UK-based Oxford Ionics for over $1 billion. It also announced the acquisition of LightSync Technologies and Capella Space. Meanwhile, Ionic stock tanked 25% in the last 3 months. In November, Ionic shares dipped after JP Morgan initiated coverage with a cautious view that balances the company's long-term quantum opportunity against its current valuation. Analyst Peter Peng said IONQ is well positioned to lead the next wave of quantum computing, which could unlock significant economic value and eventually drive billions in hardware and software revenue. He highlighted Ionic's detailed technology roadmap to move its machines towards commercial use and pointed to the company's effort to build a full-stack platform similar to NVIDIA's model, spanning hardware, software, and ecosystem tools. He said this approach allows Ionic to target quantum computing, sensing, and communications, which he estimates together represent a $46 billion to $97 billion market by 2035. So we'll see here. I know these have been kind of fun stocks to trade. We'll see if we get some more volatility and some more opportunity in some of these. One more piece of contract news that I want to get to here real quick. We've been talking about some of the defense names like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon. Another defense giant here, Elbit, which we don't look at very much, wins a major U.S. contract. Elbit Systems, which is ticker ESLT, on Monday announced that it secured a sizable U.S. defense contract tied to upgrades for the Army's Bradley fighting vehicles. The company said General Dynamics Ordnance and Tactical Systems awarded it a $228 million agreement to supply its Iron Fist active protection system for U.S. Bradley armored vehicles. Sorry, one sec. Lost my train of thought. With work scheduled for the next 3 years. Iron Fist had a hard-kill defense system built to intercept incoming threats before impact. It offers full surround coverage while maintaining a compact footprint, allowing armored vehicles to operate effectively in both terrain and urban combat zones. The system is designed to counter modern battlefield dangers such as anti-tank rockets, guided missiles, drones, loitering munitions, and high-velocity tank rounds. Its design prioritizes protection without significantly increasing vehicle weight or power demands. This award follows an earlier contract announced in 2024 and represents the third time the U.S. Army has selected Iron Fist. Bezalel Makilis, I'm probably butchered that. I am so sorry. Maklis is probably how you pronounce it. President and CEO of Elbit Systems said, quote, "Our globally recognized active protection system continues to demonstrate its technological edge. As a leading provider in this field, we are proud of our close and strategic partnership with GDOTS and the U.S. Army and the trust placed in us to deliver systems that enhance survivability and protect the lives of American troops in the field." So we'll see here if ESLT ends up getting a move here today. Another reason why I wanted to flag this is because the chart kind of looks interesting right now. Here's a quick look at it. We made a really nice kind of a violent move recently. We broke out of this 500 handle that we were in to retrade up here in a 700 handle. This back and forth here has me wondering if we take another leg higher here, especially if some of these moving averages catch up to this. One thing to note here, and one thing to be a little bit cautious on, extremely overbought at this point. So RSI still a little bit high. We'll see if that simmers down a little bit as this does trade sideways. Okay. Folks, I know we normally don't have a guest on Monday, but we are in for a treat here today. It is my pleasure to bring back our friend, Ed Egilinsky, Managing Director and Head of Global Sales and Distribution and Alternatives at Direxion. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Ed, good morning. How are you doing?
How's everything? I got my skis on this morning and just skied throughout Midtown to make it in for you. Just for
hey, we'll take that. I will take any kind words like that, Ed. That's for sure. That was where I was going to start here. First of all, how are you doing with the winter storm? Is it as crazy as it looks and as what people are saying?
Yeah, in New York City, resilient. We got about 10 inches here. They did a great job, the city, cleaning the streets. I got to give them props.
Absolutely.
Everybody's safe. This storm definitely had widespread impact, but I have to give the utility companies credit, so trading those might be not a bad thing today. Who knows which direction they go in, but UTSL, we got triple leverage utilities on the select sector there. So who knows if there's a play there or on the energy stocks as well. So we'll see.
Okay, I love it. And like I was just saying here, it actually turns out that we might be getting even more snow and storm activity later in this week. So perhaps we get a reaction in some of these stocks. UTSL, here is your Direxion 3X bull. Really good stuff. I love how we dive right into it. Let me ask you, there's a lot of other stuff going on right now. And with the latest geopolitical events and the economic news, what headlines have traders been most focused on? So I guess I'm thinking here when it comes to like your S&P ETFs, like your SPXL and your SPXS, what are you seeing flow-wise, how traders are positioning using these?
Yeah, I mean, in the short term, seeing a little inflows in SPXL because of the fact that the S&P has been down negligibly over the last 2 weeks. So people feel that maybe there's a rebound coming. When you look at the geopolitical risks out there, I guess our weather throughout the country is like Greenland right now. So I don't know if that's in sympathy. I'm just joking there. Iran, Venezuela, you have a lot of geopolitical risks right now. The threat of tariffs maybe. Yep. Additionally, on Europe and Canada, the Fed meeting this week. And I know your viewers love the technicals. The S&P broke slightly below its 50-day moving average for the first time since April. Of course, it's recovered from there now. So we'll see if it could hold that key technical level. And if that's not enough action for you, how about a potential government shutdown this week as well? So what's interesting to me is that there's been really a lack of direction in the S&P 500. It's pretty much based here over the last 2 weeks, slightly down. What's interesting is small caps actually have really been the big outperformer year to date. So, the TNA, TZA, which is a triple leverage on the Russell 2000, when you get rallies like this, we tend to see selling to take some profits on the bull side and some inflows on the bear side. And that's what we're seeing, especially with the Russell 2000, TNA, TZA, inflows in TZA on the rally, selling on the bump up in TNA, people taking profits.
Now, are you basically only seeing like some trading here, or are you seeing any positioning? The reason I'm asking is because we talked about a potential rate cutting cycle here, likely to be good for some of these smaller cap stocks. You referenced the IWM. So is this just kind of like short-term trading back and forth in TNA and TZA, or are you seeing anyone position maybe for a longer term here? I mean, I look at the TNA chart. It actually looks like we have kind of somewhat of like a double top formation. If I go back to the IWM, it sure looks like we're trying to break out and scream higher here. So what do you think? Is this more just short term, or are people looking ahead to mid-year?
Well, I think if you look at our vehicles, especially the triple and double leverage products, right, as you know, the technical aspects of it, you really have to look at very short-term windows. If you're looking at IWM, that's different. That's a longer-term time horizon. Then you could probably go out a little bit in terms of your technicals and charts. So I wouldn't place too much credence when it comes to TNA and TZA, other than the fact that the underline's trending one way or the other. Then the leverage aspect of it could be beneficial. So these are short-term trading vehicles, as you know, timing vehicles. They're path dependent. So if something's stair-stepping up or down, depending on whether you're bullish or bearish, that leverage could work for you. But if we get choppy markets like we've seen in the S&P 500 the last couple of weeks, potentially a bull and bear could be down during periods like that of the same index and leverage point.
Okay, and that's a really good point. And we are going to continue to remind folks that when we do use some of these leverage ETFs, they're designed for the short term there. Speaking of the short term, we've got a lot of stuff going on this week. Let's dive right into that. With several Max 7 stocks reporting this week, like Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, and Apple. What are some things for traders to note? I know one of the favorite ETFs to play, definitely the Tesla pairing here, right? TSLL, TSLS. We get folks that trade these all the time. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, TSLL is our biggest leverage single stock product. We have a series of single stocks that are 2x bull, inverse 1x bear. TSLL, the biggest by far. It's not much activity going into this week. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of days before earnings. Tesla, to me, a lot of it's a story stock with the robo-taxis, the full self-driving cars, and also the Optimus in terms of the robot. In terms of EVs, I hope they could stop the market losses that they've been experiencing there and see some sort of rebound. So, Tesla on a valuation basis, of course, you really can't look at it as, you have to look at it as the story stock with the robo-taxis, the full self-driving cars, and Optimus, and hopefully that the EVs rebound somewhat. But when you look at some of the others that are reporting this week, like Microsoft and Meta and Apple, it's interesting. Meta rallied last week. We saw some buying in METU, which is the 2x bull on Meta, before last week when it got a little bit of an uptick. Some of that was due to Jeffries, I think, just reinforcing that as a top pick. But what'll be a focus for that earnings will definitely be the AI progress and the monetizing of the spend with Meta, I think, has always been the big focal point there. Just shifting gears, Apple, technically below its 50 and 100-day moving average right now, down year to date. There's always concern with Apple in terms of keeping up with AI advancements and staying current when it comes to AI, and of course also iPhone sales. The valuation of Apple, though, you're talking about a P of around 30 and growing at roughly 10% only. So it's not as much of a growth story as it used to be. Always will have some sort of higher valuation associated with it because of the war chest of cash. But at some point, you want to see some growth there, particularly in the AI space. And then Microsoft. Interesting that is probably the weakest technically. If you pull up that chart, it's 50, 100, and 200-day moving average. So all eyes will be on Microsoft there, on the cloud growth and the AI with Azure for sure there. But when you look at it, MSFU, which is our 2x bull on Microsoft, AAPU, which is our 2x bull on Apple, have probably seen the biggest inflows going into earnings this week. That could change, of course, but those have been the two that we've seen some big inflows in on a little bit of weakness, particularly with Apple.
Okay, that's really good. And these are, so first of all, that the Microsoft chart that we just talked about, software names have been getting crushed. Microsoft actually bounced off its 500. So like you were saying, it moved through a lot of those other moving averages, did finally find some support. I'll be interested to see if that picks up. The other thing with Apple here, we were talking about them maybe being a little bit behind on AI, now working with Google to get Siri up to speed on AI. It'll be interesting to see how the market rewards that. Love this. AAPU, just kind of looking at this is basically right at its 200-day. This is another really good short-term trading vehicle for Apple. We look at Apple often, think we might have to start trading this one as well. Now, you also mentioned the Fed meeting there. So I know we've got a ton of catalysts here today. I'm going to do my best to keep them all straight. You also mentioned the Fed meeting here. And while it seems like the no cut is priced in, are we seeing any movement here with some of your direction ETFs like the TMF or the TMV, which track the 20-year Treasury?
Yeah, it's interesting. Of course, it tracks the triple leverage of TLT, as most of you viewers know. Bull and bear on that. TMF's the bull. TMV is the bear. We're seeing actually outflows, Ryan, going into the Fed meeting on TMF, a little bit of buying on TMV. I think there's some concern there in terms of just interest rates with the lack of clarity of direction right now. Look at the mixed bag this year. TLT, I believe, going into today was up slightly less than 1%. And IEF was down a little bit, about 20 basis points, which is the 7 to 10 year. So a lot of mixed signals right now. Uncertainty within the Fed itself in terms of dissenters on cutting rates and those that want to cut rates. So you see a lot of indecisiveness within the current Fed structure. And then the new Fed governor in April. That's a whole separate wild card of what could happen. The Fed will always say data dependent. Inflation continues to remain sticky with the PE in November. Employment tends to be a little soft right now. It has been a little soft, the job data. And also, when you look at it, there's also disagreement in terms of how many rate cuts this year. Of course, the economy could soften. That could change, or it could get a little more inflationary. But the Fed's really looking at least the Fed fund futures looking at maybe one rate cut this year, but the market's pricing in 1 to 2. We'll see. But in this Fed meeting, Ryan, I think clarity, any sort of clarity that the Fed minutes could give, I think will be a key, because not cutting rates is already pretty much baked in the cake. I'd be shocked if they pulled a rabbit out of the hat and cut rates. It's probably almost 90% that they're not going to cut rates.
Yeah, I think it was 95 most of last week, 97.2 as of this morning. I completely agree with you. The minutes are really going to be the big thing, and then Powell's speech afterwards. So, but at least this gives us a couple of levered ETFs to play. One more thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and I've got a list here, Ed, and don't worry, we're going to get to championship weekend at the end here as well. What do you attribute the outperformance in semis to? So I know we had talked a little bit about rotation out of some of these bigger cap tech names, but we did actually see semis in January, outperform a little bit. Can the upward trading momentum continue, do you think?
Well, I think you mentioned it. I think there is some rotation going on. The rally's been more focused on memory chips and AI hardware. What's interesting is we have the triple leverage bull and bear. It's our most popular pair. SOX L, SOX S on the 9Z Semiconductor Index. And what's interesting is that it's far outperformed the broader market or even the tech sector as a whole. And that's without NVIDIA participating pretty much this year. So it's been the likes of AMD and Micron and AM Applied Materials that have led the way here. But when you look at NVIDIA right now, high valuation, some increased competition, some sector rotation, as we mentioned. We do have NVDU on the 2X bull side, for those that want to trade NVIDIA on the bull side, we also have NVDD on the bear side. I'll get that out. And that's inverse 1X. But what's interesting, look at NVIDIA this morning with CoreWeave expanding the partnership there, buying $2 billion, I believe $2 billion, don't quote me on that. I may be a little off on the numbers, of their common stock. So it's interesting, NVIDIA trying to get more in the AI infrastructure space, making some headlines there. We'll see. NVIDIA, great company. Valuations always become an issue, and the competitive landscape. For those that want to also trade a more concentrated basket in the semiconductor space, we launched a number of months ago a top 5 on the semiconductors, and that's TSXU, the 2X bull, and the inverse 2X bear is TSXD as well. So that's just the biggest names, including the NVIDIA within that people can participate in. I believe the basket now consists of ASML, AMD, Taiwan Semi, Broadcom, and NVIDIA, the top 5. That could change depending on the market cap. It rebalances quarterly, and the constituents can change quarterly based on that ranking of the top 5 market caps.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. And by the way, you were spot on with the $2 billion investment from NVIDIA into CoreWeave.
I learned from you, Ryan.
Oh, there we go. Ed, you're having a heck of a day here today. That's for sure. Okay, perhaps one of the craziest things that we've seen here recently has been the move in some of the metals. Right, we've seen gold, we've seen silver. Both of them are moving like crazy. Gold, of course, the gold future is printing 5,000 for the first time here. Why has silver continued to outpace gold? And how are traders playing other related high beta trades like gold mining stocks? I know we often look at nugget and dust here.
Yeah, one of my favorite topics. I'm a commodities guy. I'm an alternative investment guy. So it's interesting. Let's look at the physical commodities first. We don't have anything that gives you leverage exposure to the pure precious metals. We have the byproducts of that, gold miners. I'll get to that in a minute. But gold, silver, a lot of your clients probably trade GLD or IAU or SLV. Yep. What's interesting is silver's been playing catch up to gold in terms of valuation. A lot of people follow the gold silver ratio. Historically, it's probably in the high 70s. What's happened is silver's really narrowed that gap, and now when you look at the gold silver ratio, it's below 50, which means that silver's become more expensive historically than gold right now. So it certainly has not only narrowed that gap, it's maybe surpassed it in terms of when you're looking at per ounce of gold versus silver right now. Now, there's industrial use with silver, of course, solar, EVs, and the AI data centers that's fueling this. A lot of short covering maybe on this recent rally with silver, giving it more of an impetus of over 100. But keep in mind that gold and silver could have significant drawdowns as well. So if they get really overextended, like it has now on the RSI standpoint, just be careful from a short-term perspective. When you look at gold and silver also, I think they're getting a continued impetus upside with the flight to safety type of aspect to it, with all the geopolitical risk right now. I still think gold, though, is more of a flight to safety play when you look at central bank buying and it being viewed as a reserve currency. Now, to shift gears to the gold mining stocks, they were an underperformer relative to physical gold for quite some time. But last year, they far outperformed the physical commodity itself for the first time since I think about 2019 on a calendar year basis. That outperformance has continued in 2026. So gold miners and junior gold miners, of course, your viewers know GDX and GDXJ. We have 2X bull and bear products on both of those. They've outperformed this year. But Ryan, as I mentioned, you had a significant increase in a rally with gold miners extending from last year. So we've had some inflows in our bear products, which is J-Dust and Dust, and some outflows selling on the rally in some bull funds there with two of my favorite tickers, Nugget, NUGT, and JNUG, JNUG. So it's been interesting to see gold miners, which have a much higher beta than gold, always is very popular for the trading audience that we have there. A weaker U.S. dollar to me will be a big thing to watch. Continued weakness in the U.S. dollar, is that going to also be another springboard for gold and silver? And look at the VIX right now. Maybe it's been up or down a little bit, but trading pretty much near lows. Market at all-time highs in terms of U.S. market. Imagine if we start getting a risk-off environment. I have a feeling gold and even its brother in silver will catch a bid as well.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. And as far as the VIX goes, it really seems to be the range between 13 and 20. It likes to oscillate back between that. We are looking at the VIX this morning, 1668, so almost near the lower end of the range. Okay, you're a commodities guy, so we're just going to stick with that. Talk to me about oil here. We've had a lot of recent headlines, whether it be Iran, Venezuela, Ukraine, and Russia. That impacts oil prices and the corresponding energy stocks. Will the energy stock sector bounce back in 2026? Full disclosure before you answer this, I'm big on energy in 2026. This is one of my sectors that I think is going to outperform the market. What say you?
Well, I think the energy stocks certainly underperformed the broader market in 2025. So if you're a believer like I am in some sector rotation or mean reversion, energy probably is a pretty good place to go right now, especially with crude oil hovering right around where it is. It got into the 50s. It broke above 60. Crude oil, from a technical standpoint, Ryan, above now it's 50, 100-day and 200-day, barely on the 100 and 200-day, but is above. Right now when you look at Iran and Venezuela, and Kazakhstan, in terms of Kazakhstan has the largest oil fields, and they're shut down right now. You also have the extreme cold weather in the U.S. Look what natural gas prices have done. It may last 5 minutes, but look at the spike there. It tends to be seasonal along with heating oil. So I think crude here is going to probably base. If it could hold that 60 level and break through, I think at least you're going to have some stabilization in crude oil prices. The one thing to look at, though, there's always a geopolitical risk, particularly in Iran and what's going on in Venezuela. They're going to pump more oil in Venezuela. Ultimately, it's going to be more oil in the market. But one of the things is right now you have ample supply in the market right now and a slowdown in demand when it comes to oil. So that's something to watch itself. In terms of the energy stocks, though, XLE, XOP, those are two of the indices that we have with our 2X bull and bear. We have ERX, ERY, which track the Energy Select Sector Index. Of course, Exxon and Chevron are the two biggest weightings there. So those are two you could trade on the energy stocks itself. And then if you want to get a little more granular on the exploration and production stocks, you have the S&P Oil and Gas Exploration and Production Index that we track with Gush and Drip, which is the 2X Bull and 2X Bear, respectively. We haven't seen a lot of trading, though, I'm surprised, in any of the energy complex of the energy stocks right now. So a little surprised by that. I think with all of this news, though, and what's happening with the weather-related issues now, and the impact it's having on the traditional commodity itself, I think we might see more trading in the energy stocks.
Okay, that'd be great. I'd love to see that too. Really good point here on Gush and Drip there. So, all right, this to me is amazing, Ed. There's so much stuff going on. We just spent time talking about all of these different volatile things, and guess what we did? We saved Bitcoin for last because it's so crazy out there that we've been talking about other things like gold and all of that, oil and Mag 7 and Fed and all of that. But Bitcoin, it's still out there. How can traders participate in the ever volatile crypto market through the Direxion trading tools? These are some of my favorite. I've told you before, Lambo and Rect, two of my favorite ETFs. Are you seeing anything here, or is it kind of on the back burner with all the other stuff going on?
It's interesting. It's been more on the back burner. We have a basket of crypto-related stocks that represent Lambo and Rec.
Mm-hmm.
We also have some single stocks we just launched. Coinbase is the 2X Bull, CONX, and also on Robinhood, 2X Bull, HODU. So we've seen some activity more on the single stock that are crypto-related stocks. It's interesting. This has been as risk on as you could get in the market. And look where crypto is trading, or at least Bitcoin, right? Yeah. In the low 90s, if that, 92, 91. I didn't look this morning.
88 this morning.
Yeah, so he's dropping below 90 again, which to me was, some key at least support there. What's interesting is that with a VIX where it is, with the U.S. markets at all-time highs, crypto not near its highs. So I don't know what that portends. I never thought of crypto as a risk-off asset until proven otherwise. To me, it's very volatile, and it really is tied to a risk-on environment. So we'll see there. But there's some things like the U.S. exchanges last week announced the possibility of, I think, integrating tokenization and with the blockchain technology. So you got to at least believe that the blockchain technology itself is viable. The question is the underlying coins itself, whether it's Ethereum or the flagship Bitcoin, what type of impact it's going to have on that price itself. But I don't think it's a great sign right now that Bitcoin's trading where it is and the market's trading where it is. Maybe this time will be different, though, in terms of the diversification aspect of it and the lower correlation to what equities do going forward than what it has been in the past.
Yeah, and with Bitcoin, we always look at that here as like a risk on, risk off indicator. And you're right, it has been risk off. It's down from some of those highs. We're kind of anticipating a rollover maybe to that 72K range. And I think if we get that, it'll be very interesting to see how traders react if they turn it back into risk on if the price depreciates enough. Okay, and I gotta say, there was a ton of stuff on the docket here today. Really good job working through all of it. I gotta ask you though, what do you got for the Super Bowl? What did you make of championship weekend?
Championship weekend, listen, that Denver-New England game, I thought it was going to be the first team to 20, not the first team to 10. Yeah. But, that game was like watching paint dry. But if you like good defense in a snowy atmosphere, I guess it was okay. I think the real Super Bowl champ is probably in the NFC, the winner of that game. Back and forth. So I do like Seattle, although I won't count out New England and the mystique there that franchise has. And I'm surprised the line is as low as it is. So that's great. I know something.
Being a Chicago guy, I absolutely love snow games. So there was a part of me being snowed in here myself yesterday, watching that Patriot Broncos game where I was like, yeah, this is football. This is how I grew up watching football. Will say I really wish my Bears were still there. I thought that they should have been, but next year is another year. We'll see if Seattle's able to get it done. Ed, look, thank you so much for everything here today. This was a humongous breakdown here on a lot of stuff going on. I very much look forward to having you back here discussing more of where traders are positioning and how they're looking at this. Really appreciate your time here today.
Be safe, everybody. Have a good week.
All right. That is, of course, the one and only Ed Egilinsky, head of global sales, distribution, and alternatives at Direxion, rolling through all of the different things that are moving here. We will continue to check in with him and get ideas on all of those flows. Really, really good stuff here this week. We're starting this week off with a bang. Ton of things. Fed, earnings, geopolitical stuff. We're going to have everything ready for you here today. Okay, next. Couple of things I want to go through here real quick. Let's go next to our street tweets. I only got one for you today. All right, this one comes from old man who shakes fist at the sky. Good old Peter Schiff, who's definitely having a really good time right now, given the fact that gold is going on a huge run. He tweets, Trump may think the U.S. has the hottest economy in the world, but financial markets prove it's the coldest because gold is surging above $5,020. Silver is over $104.65, and the U.S. dollar is getting crushed against other fiat currencies, hitting record lows against the Swiss franc. So the move here in gold, really, really good for Peter Schiff. He thinks the U.S. economy is, in fact, not the hottest in the world. We will see how this all shakes out over the course of 2026. All right, and I would really like to know what you folks think about this. What's the next trade going forward? Whether you agree or disagree with Schiff, what's the next trade off of this going forward? We'll see. I can't wait to get your opinions on that. All right. Folks, also, it is Monday, so I do want to talk about our macro minute. All right, folks, today's macro minute, and the macro minute for this week is going to be earnings. Seen a lot of volatility in the market so far. We now have our first big earnings week of 2026 with about 20% of the S&P reporting earnings this week. Are earnings going to determine what direction the market moves next? We're going to have to wait and see about that. We also have the Federal Reserve this week doing interest rates. I think that's going to take a back seat to earnings. On the screen for you now is, in fact, our earnings graphic. So this is going to give you an idea of exactly how many earnings we're talking about. And we're not just talking about the little guys. We're talking about some of the big companies, most notably Wednesday after the market closes. We have Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, ServiceNow, IBM, Lam Research. We also have some airlines like Southwest Airlines. Wednesday morning, we're going to get started off with a bang as well. ASML, Starbucks, AT&T, tons of earnings all week long. We've got some defense names on Tuesday with NOC and RTX and Boeing reporting in the morning. We have some of the oil names wrapping up the week on Friday with Chevron and ExxonMobil reporting in the morning ahead of the open. MasterCard in the morning on Thursday. Apple in the afternoon on Thursday, along with Visa. So there's going to be a lot going on this week. And this week's macro minute, definitely corporate earnings. All right, folks. Let's see how much time. Oh man, I did that with 4 minutes. I almost hit that on the head. First thing we're going to do is we're going to check with CoreWeave because you guys were asking about CoreWeave earlier. We do have some news here with CoreWeave. It's up 9% here in the pre-market, and here's what the chart looks like. I know we talked about possibly forming an inverse head and shoulders here. I'll be honest, I don't really think we did that. There wasn't a great shoulder off here to the right, but nonetheless, it ended up not mattering. We continued to move off of this level, got it right at about 70 down there. We've traded up to the 200-day here today. I have the 200-day moving average at 104.38. And remember, the current pre-market price plus 9%, 101.30. So as far as CoreWeave goes, a test of the 200-day that is on deck here today. Can we get above that and close above that? Should be bullish, and then might also put this trend line in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to extend this a little bit. We'll give it an idea and see if we find some resistance up there. The news here, CoreWeave shares are trading higher after the company announced an expansion of its collaboration with NVIDIA to accelerate the build out of more than 5 gigawatts of AI factories by 2030 to advance AI adoption at global scale. Now, I know that there was some worries here about CoreWeave, maybe overestimating the GPU usage, so on and so forth. But I'll tell you what, doesn't look like AI is going anywhere. We've talked about that as 2025 wrapped up. We're getting indications of that here in 2026. CoreWeave now, again, up about 9%. Here's what the intraday chart looks like here today. So if you're thinking about a short-term trade here, we got a nice little impulse move on the piece of news that we got this morning, a little bit of a pullback to VWAP. So far, we're holding that. We'll see if we can continue to hold that and then maybe make a move towards those pre-market highs. I've got that just shy of 104 up here at about 103.95. So let me see if there was anything else here on CoreWeave that I might have been overlooking. Nope. I think that's it. And there was nothing from, that's it on CoreWeave. And then another quick reminder here, short interest, it is still 21% of the float shorted, but only 1.93 days to cover. So CoreWeave actually looking pretty good. And judging by the chart here, let me get some opinions from the group. This is one that we talk about quite a bit on Happy Hour. I actually believe we do have someone from the Happy Hour group that is long this on a swing. But let me know here what you think on CoreWeave for a trade. The other piece of news, and I'm sure we're probably going to look at this when we go to the movers tool. I can't remember exactly what the movers tool looks like. But the other one here is USAR. And I want to shout this out because this was, I think it was JR from T3. We talked about some of these materials plays. Remember, when they made that huge run in the past, they carved out a really, really nice tradable range. And it sure looked, as this stock came back in here, it was actually looking like it was going to test some of that range again. Lo and behold, here we go. We actually have a catalyst that's kind of driving this. USA Rare shares are trading higher after the company announced a non-binding letter of intent with the U.S. government for access to $1.6 billion in funding to accelerate the domestic rare earth value chain. So this is like stakes being taken in some of these companies that is causing USAR to trade up 20% here today. You can see on the daily chart, we're just shy of $30. This actually clears out this entire fib range that we had drawn. We actually used a Fibonacci extension to estimate some of these levels. So a huge move here on USAR. This is what our chart looks like on the inside. So actually, I'm sorry, I know it's a little bit difficult to see with the shading on here, but you can see impulse move when the pre-market opened here today took us about to 40. We've bled back some of those gains here this morning. We have held on to about what, 28, 29 bucks. Let's see if we can move through the VWAP. I've got that value there, 31.29. 31.29. Okay. Now, we are not there's a lot of stuff going on here this morning. We are not going to struggle to find things that are moving. Thank gosh we've got 13 here. Thank gosh we've got 13 here to help make sense of it. So folks, let's go ahead and get started with our pre-market pulse. 13, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you this morning? How is everybody? Is everybody staying warm out there?
Yes, I'm doing really good. That was going to be my first question to you. We just asked our last guest who was in New York. So there's a lot of snow out there, but the public works are doing a great job keeping the streets clear. How's Texas? How did you handle this weekend? How are you folks doing down there?
Oh, well, we stayed inside most of the time. We were pretty prepared, got everything we needed to, so we didn't have any pipe ruptures. The pool's still cycling, all the stuff. So that's all going. Don't have any issues right now. Just a lot of iciness outside. Stepping on the grass and it crunched because it was all frozen. We're getting little 1-inch icicles hanging off the eaves of our roofs. So it's just that kind of stuff. But haven't gone out to drive around. Not gonna brave that.
Okay. I actually did go out. I went out in the snowstorm yesterday. I didn't go very far, but it was fun. But I too am managing here. So, all right. If you think of anything that can help us trade some of this madness, we are all ears. Now, in the meantime, though, 13, I think we should just go ahead and attack some of these movers because there's a couple of lulls on this movers chart here today, if you ask me. You ready for this?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. You go ahead, but if it's got AI in its ticker, it's probably on the movers list.
And you know what that means? We'll cover some of those things here. I'm curious to see where you go with that. Now, the first one here does not contain that.
No.
So the first one here is going to be Battalion Oil, and the ticker here is BATL. And you can see this stock is up 362% here in the pre-market. Just an absolutely massive move. You can see this thing closed at 128 on Friday last week. We actually did have a pop in the after hours that took us to about $2. Looks like it traded a little bit there, but the big time move here is coming this morning, and it's coming on some pretty good volume. Now, if we take a look here real quick, on Friday, I beg your pardon. On Friday, after hours, we got an operational update. Battalion Oil switches gas processing partner and boosts production to 30 mmCFD and 1200 BOPD. So they increased their production a lot for January here. This drove the stock higher. But again, the big move happened here this morning. So looks like this is a reaction to some of the cold snap that we got over the weekend, which again, I don't know how it was for your forecast and stuff like that, but on Saturday, our forecast was there's going to be some snow tonight, 1 inch to 2 inches maybe. I woke up on Sunday and there was 4, 5, maybe even 6 inches of snow out there. I feel like we got way more than forecasted. I feel like some of this storm was worse than people were kind of expecting. Maybe we're seeing that reaction play out in the stock. Okay, enough of my rant. 14.2% of the float is shorted on this name with 4.38 days to cover. That happens because on average, the stock trades 441,000 shares a day. Today, it's done 125 million, folks. I don't think there's going to be any trouble with anyone finding volume here today, whether it's the short or the long side. The float on BATL here is 3.5 million. So this is right in our wheelhouse, 13. Looking at this formation, knowing what you know about what's going on, what do you think here?
Well, this company does already have revenue, and it's got a good cash position. So I'm not really thinking that they're going to need to do a capital raise any time soon. They may not need to do it at all. If production's ramping up, that's going to have them see more revenue. So don't think that we're going to see any offering out of this one here today. But the price action was pretty good this morning. I even took a pre-market trade, which I don't normally do, but the setup was just too good, so I went with it. And my exit was at 650, and that's kind of where we went a little bit past and then came back in. So I was looking at that area as resistance. I still think it's going to be resistance, but if we continue to hold above the VWAP here and can use that as support, I think the more we hammer the 650 area, the more likely we're going to see a move through it. This area of consolidation here, that's just under 580. That's going to be a demand zone that if we do come back down there, I would think that support kicks in. Now, if we do lose the VWAP, then I think that the momentum is shifted at that point, and we could be looking at some downside levels from that point on if we can't get back above VWAP. So the 65 EMA is going to kick in, 450 support's going to kick in. But that's what I'd be looking at here. And we might actually get this move up to 650, possibly through it here, if we do get this momentum to pick up here as we approach the open for BATL.
Okay, just let me ask you, just personally, you nervous or worried about a stock that's up 400%?
Well, it was only to play for that short moment that I was in it. I was in it for about 10 minutes. And yes, that was something I was thinking about. I was like, man, this thing is up a lot, but the setup looks really good. I'm going to try it. And if it goes down to a certain point, I'm out. And then it didn't work. It did, though. It worked. I'm out. And I would like to see this get over 7. But, we've already seen this. This is almost up 400%. And this is news from Friday. So, it's had some time for the market to digest it. I don't know how much of a run it's going to go on. But, it could still it's got a low float. So it could push past the 680 high that we put in and go higher. But, that's one of the things I was thinking about when I was taking this trade is like, I'm going to keep my stop, or I'm going to keep my limit orders tight. And if it goes to a certain period, I'm out. A certain level, I'm out, and then I'll just consider that a bad trade. But it worked out really well, though.
Really good stuff, really good discipline on that. That's kind of what I was poking at there. So thanks for taking me along that walk. Okay, next here, this is going to be another crazy one. And I know we've talked about this before, multiple 100% runners. Well, that's in fact what we have. In fact, these top two here are above 200%. One of them is above 300%. Next one here is going to be BNAI, and I feel like we've talked about this one quite a bit here. We've actually traded this off of the relative volume scanner. Lo and behold, look at what is happening here. BNAI, this actually had a decent move on Friday into a 21 handle, kind of settled for the rest of the afternoon, but in the after hours, a massive move up towards 60. We got another massive move here today, a couple of spikes here in the morning. And here's what's going on. So first of all, on Wednesday, they had secured this loan for $2.05 million for AI licensing partnerships in products, or excuse me, in Africa. I beg your pardon. And then I was looking at this BNAI. It looks like it's just continuing to move on this sentiment. Doesn't look like there's really anything brand new here. No. On Friday after hours, we're talking about the $2 million Valio Technologies deal in here. Mm-hmm. It's delivering $2 million worth of capital infusion effectively, Beyond the upfront capital, BNAI secures a 25% equity stake in the new entity and a 35% share of revenue. I think that's really helping it here, generated from all of its software. Now, just looking at all of this, given all of the news here, does it, I just want to kind of put this out as the backdrop. Does it really make sense that it is up this much? Okay. Thank you for answering that really quickly. Just to finish this off, short percent of float, 29. But you went exactly where I was hoping you would go. Short percent of float, 29.2%, 1 day to cover here. It on average trades 7.7 million shares. It's already traded 4 here today. The float's 4.2. 13, take it away on this. What should we expect here from BNAI?
The unexpected.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
So I was looking at this one this morning, and I was thinking to myself, it's having a hard time with VWAP. If it continues to fade, we're coming down to the 65 EMA. I'm betting we're going to see some support there. Sure enough, we just got that support to kick in. There's also another support area down at around 45 to 50, I would say, if we do end up coming down that low. I think this is probably going to end up coming back in. But the thing is that we do have this trend line set up here, and we're trying to hit this VWAP again, which could result in a breakout going into the open. But at the same time, I still feel pretty nervous about this one. I really can't justify this kind of move and how extended this is, and be like, oh yeah, let's start buying this up here. If there's a trade that sets up and it looks like it's going to give you a good return, then of course don't let me stop you from doing that. But this is a little bit more high risk up here with how big how pricey the stock already is. I mean, going from what it was like $17.50 when it closed, or I'm sorry, $16.50 when it closed, and now it's up over $60.
Yeah, it was up over 80 in the pre-market. I mean, unless this chart's wrong, 80s. I mean,
I think I would just be quite careful with this company. It still needs cash. So there could be an offering coming at some point here. I don't think this value deal is going to, do a whole lot for them. Maybe that's completely wrong, because look at the reaction that the market's had to this deal. It's taken it up over 260%. I can't see. I mean, I'd have to read more into it in order to learn more about what's going on with the value of that deal. But $2 million, I don't think that's gonna be enough.
So I'm with you here. So Dara, I appreciate this. Dara here saying, what's the required execution price that's needed for the warrants to be exercised on BNAI? I didn't know the answer to that. Thankfully, Dara went and answered the question. I won't be surprised if this thing hits 115. That's the price needed for warrants. So okay. First of all, Dara, I appreciate you doing any of the legwork here for the group. On all of this stuff. This is a really good idea because it at least gives us some targets. I'll say this though, I don't know that this is going to go to any specific price. The one thing that I'm thinking of, the stock's up 41 points here today. A simple pullback of 20 points is going to be nasty for people that are taking new buys here. And I think that's the big thing here. Just know what it is that you're trading. Know where this thing came from.
And that's likely going to be split adjusted, because this did a reverse split at the end of, or at the beginning of last month. 1 for 10.
I wonder if that's part of the confusion here.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at a daily chart, you can see that before we had all this wild price action in 2024, it was topping out at around that 115, more like 111. But that 115 area that she's, I'm sorry if I'm getting the gender.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. If you look at the daily chart, you can see this thing ran up to almost that same area that they're talking about there, and then we spiked up above that all the way to 200 and came right back in. But that was before the split, so I'm thinking that that's probably accurate to what he's saying there, because I haven't looked, and it might just end up being a split adjusted now that it's something that 1 for 10.
Yeah, I'm. Be careful on these. Anytime we're talking about multiple percent, God, I'm sorry, it's a Monday. Anytime we're talking about multiple hundreds of percent runner, it really begs you to be careful with that. You might have some better opportunities. Just know where this thing came from and where it can go. Okay. Yeah.
And real last point about this. I think that's a really smart that they pointed that out, because now that I'm looking at the chart and I saw the price action we had here this morning, 84.46. There's a candle from May of 2024 that went up pretty close to that same area. So I think I'd be leaning on a lot of these past movements, these past candles for areas of support and resistance. If this does go on more of a rally that takes it higher, I'd be leaning on these for where the price might go.
Okay. All right. Next one here, just kind of going with the theme that you had briefly mentioned. If it has AI in the name, maybe it's moving. Well, the next one on our list is in fact GXAI. This is Gaxos.ai. You can actually see on Friday, we had a little bit of a move higher on some elevated after hours volume. Today in the pre-market, it basically came back down to the balance and then ramped again when the volume showed back up. Now, what's going on with this? Gaxios launches a flexible $3 million at the money stock offering. This was news that we got after the close on Friday. Again, that initial reaction, it traded up on this news, and we're seeing it trade up again. But this is what we have here in the news feed. Quick peek at the short interest on this name, 3.92% with 1.19 days to cover. On average, the stock trades 171,000 shares. Today, it's traded just shy of 68 million. Float on this one, 6.89 million. 13, what do you think here on GXAI?
Oh, I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot more upside to this. We might get over the VWAP, but I'm looking at a daily chart, and we have the 500-day SMA that showed up in February of last year. And since that's shown up, that's been a resistance area. If you look what happened in August, we went right to it and got rejected, came back down, haven't been up there until this morning when we printed slightly above it with that 265 rip. The current valuation of the 500-day SMA is at 232. So it'd be interesting to see if we can get back above that after we open. I'm a little less confident we'll probably see that, because this news isn't like the other companies that we were just looking at where they've actually got deals in place, or they're bringing money in. This is bringing money in a different way, where they're diluting their shares or potentially diluting their shares. This is at the money, so it's not they're not selling it right away. They're just whenever they deem it necessary. So maybe when they start announcing that, hey, we're going to sell some of this, that's when the stock actually goes down. But they do need to raise cash, because it didn't seem like they had a lot of operating capital going forward. As far as the charts go, VWAP resistance, we came up close to it just about 5 minutes ago. Haven't been able to get back above it yet. But if we lose some of these other smaller EMAs, I have support down at 185 and the 65 EMA.
Okay, I've got that down there at about 160, that 65 EMA. Okay, we'll see how we do here on GXAI. Moving right along here, next one here is going to be NAMM, and this is Namib Minerals. So this is likely moving on just kind of the geopolitical thing that's going on here. You can see on Friday, this initially spiked out of the gate above 550, but really pared back. A lot of those gains actually ended up going red. Today, we're basically back to where we were trading on Thursday. So this thing was volatile. It was up on Thursday, volatile on Thursday. We're basically back into that exact same range right now. I've got no fresh news on this stock at all, at least not that I see here in the newsfeed. Last thing I have was from Thursday, where a number of precious metal stocks were trading high on those ongoing geopolitical tensions. So nothing fresh here. Quick peek at the short interest. I actually don't have a float reading here, but I have about 242,000 shares held short. Do you have a float reading at all?
My broker says it's 422 million shares in the float.
Okay, so it is super thick. Not a whole lot of short interest here.
No, 4.22 million shares. I'm sorry if I said that wrong.
Yeah, even so, it's still not a whole lot of short interest here. I don't think it's going to come into play. On average, the stock trades 5.9 million shares. Today, it's traded 7.4 million already. 13, what do you think here on NAMM? Do we maybe retest 5, which seems to be a resistance area?
So I think a couple of things that's going on with this is that if you look at a daily chart, the past 2 days that this really was going, which was on Wednesday and Thursday, had some pretty high volume, and then we sold. So I think that led into a relative volume play, and then we saw some selling as a result of that. And then I think this is just the momentum continuing. On top of that, you also have the whole minerals theme coming back. So yep. I think it's getting a lift from both of those events. Being that there's no news here on this. So with that in mind, I think that's what you're seeing here. I don't know how great this is going to end up being. If you look at what happened on Friday, this thing started by going up out of the gate up to 568 and then spent the rest of the day selling off. So looking at the past couple of days, I'd be using that as levels of support and resistance. We're coming up to, there's some pretty tough resistance around the the 465 to 475 area that the market kind of has been experiencing this morning. We haven't quite got up to that level, but if you look at the 5 minutes, yeah, you can see it on your chart that you have there. There's a lot of selling pressure once we get up to that 465 area. But we also have this trend line that we have going on with some of the pre-market price action. So maybe we get a little bit of a break over that. I just don't know how high it's going to go. I'd say probably 530 could be, 525, 530 might be a good place where this ends up going before it comes back in. I can't say with this one because it's just going to be all dependent on how well the whole materials and metals theme works out today.
Okay. All right. Nonetheless, pretty good breakdown. NAMM. Next one here. This is one that we talked about last week. This is EVTV. So this, if just kind of looking at the 5-minute chart here, going all the way back to when we first discussed this on Monday, January 12th, you see this stock initially, really quick, just made a run from penny territory, about 45 cents, up to $4, back down here to 175. Now it's popping again here in the pre-market. This pop takes us to where we broke down on Thursday of last week. You can see midday, we broke down on volume right from the area where this is getting resistance here today. Now, if I flip over to the news feed here, we do have some fresh news as of today. Envirotech Vehicles announces delivery and installation of 40-foot immersion-ready AI data center container. So while this doesn't have AI in the name, it does have AI in the news here. This is announces an execution milestone under AI infrastructure program with delivery, installation, and connection of a 40-foot AI data center container purpose-built for immersion-cooled computing. See if that takes off here. That's the PR we're getting. Stocks up 44%. Negligible short interest on this name with less than 1% of the float shorted and 1 day to cover, probably less than that. On average, it trades 25.5 million shares. Today, it's done 40 million. 13, what do you think here on EVTV since we've traded this recently? And I'm actually going to step away. I'll be right back. 1 second.
Okay. I don't recall all the different financials of this one. Let me take a quick look here. Okay, so they do need to raise capital unless they've done that between their earnings, but they're still losing money. So they're probably going to be one of those companies that is at risk of needing to raise capital unless they've already done that. See that they've got a lot of contracts here, but I have to see a more recent earnings report from them with updates to their financials to get a better idea. But looking at the technicals here, we are getting support from the 260 area, trying to get up to through VWAP, which I have at 294. If we can't get above VWAP, then this may just come right back in. There's going to be support down around 230 from all the sideways price action in the pre-market from Friday. If this does end up coming back up through VWAP and trying to go higher, I have some concerns about what I'm seeing on the daily chart, particularly around the, let's see here, what is this? The 325 to $4 area. Lots of consolidation from the very beginning of last year. That could be problematic. But the encouraging part here with this company is that the price did run up to 5, come back in, get support from the 200-day SMA, which we haven't had in a long time, maybe a year and a half. So if we can continue to hold that 200-day SMA, I think that there could still be some potential upside. But it's like I said earlier about that consolidation from the beginning of last year. Could be some trouble getting through that. It's 325 to 4.
Okay. Good stuff there on EVTV. We'll see if this gives us a trade here today. Okay, next here, I just have a couple. I know we're running out of time here. Mm-hmm. I really briefly want to look at this. I don't know how much time we need to spend here. Next one here is going to be NVVE. This is Nuve Holdings. The stock closed at about $2.50 last week, popped over 550 here today, has done one of these things that we've seen a number of times where it retraces almost the entire move. So retraced about 80% of that here today. Nuve Holdings subsidiary and Capture Energy enter into a framework agreement on battery energy storage systems in Europe. So
I like that word.
Yeah, I was going to say, awesome that this is part of the theme that we've been on with batteries and energy storage here. I'm curious to get your opinion on the news and the fact that it did retrace a large part of this. As far as the short interest goes, 11+% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 3 million shares. We've traded 13.5 million here today. Float's only 1.45 million, so pretty much right in that butter zone that we look for some of these movers. But what do you think? Is this one that we should steer clear of, or might there be another opportunity here today?
We'd have to read some more into this PR, but it seems like this is meant to create some, some kind of power infrastructure that's, off the main grid. I might be wrong in saying that, but that's kind of what I'm seeing when it comes to a lot of these battery plays. There's like this desire to not be, try to draw so much from the grid, or if it is, to have some backup systems to prevent brownouts and blackouts. That's what we've been looking at vanadium a lot. As far as this company goes, I mean, it might still be pretty young, even though it seems like it's got a really good product. But like I said, I don't know enough about this. Looking at the financials, they do lose a lot of money. They're going to have to raise capital at some point soon, unless there's been a capital raise in between their last earnings reports. But seeing that how they just regained NASDAQ compliance, I would think that maybe a capital raise could be coming, unless they did that to regain compliance. They did a 1-for-40 reverse split not too long ago. But anyway, as far as how what this might do today, we could probably see this come back up to somewhere in the higher threes, but I don't know if we're going to get back above VWAP. We'll have to wait and see what we end up getting here. Just, keep in mind, this is a very, very low float stock, 1.45 million shares. So we could see some wild price action. I just don't know what to expect with this one right now.
Okay, well, let's wait then, and maybe be a little bit cautious on this and wait for it to confirm a move. Okay, a couple of things here real quick. I know we're running out of time here, but Sani, good to see you again. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Sani here is mentioning that SKYT is getting acquired by Ionic at 35 per stock. He said, I might $35 per share, I think is what he meant there. I might short it. Couple of things here. Number one, first of all, I dropped the link to the story that breaks down this deal in the chat. Just keep in mind that this deal is actually $15 in cash and $20 in Ionic stock. So this $35 mark that you're mentioning here, 15 of it is cash, 20 of it is stock in IONQ. Maybe that plays into your plan here to actually trade this. If you take a look at SKYT. If you take a look at the stock itself, you can see what it's trading at, not quite at that 35. So just be careful here. I would imagine if you're shorting it, you think that this deal might not go through. Let me know if you have any more context around your trade there. I don't have this trade. I'm not looking for this trade myself, but I'm definitely interested in what you see out there. Get in there, 13.
I was going to ask for some clarification. Which stock are you shorting? Is it SkyT or Ionic?
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Because I was just wondering, is that for Ionic, that's going to be, that'll be cash leaving the company. They may have to do some more capital raise after the merger. I'm just kind of wondering.
They had 1.5 billion in cash on hand at the end of September 13.
But after the merger.
Yeah. Well, so the whole merger here is 1.8 billion, but again, $20 of that is in stock. So they're going to use a substantial amount of their cash, but they're not going to use all of it. And just to be clear here, Sonny, it looks like he is in fact trying to short SKYT as opposed to IONQ. Appreciate you answering that. Okay, we'll see how this one shakes out here. We got less than 2 minutes here. There are a couple more things I wanted to mention just very quickly, just to kind of go with your theme. ARAI, Arrive AI, and YYAI, which is Airwa. These were also movers here today that contained AI in the name. Did you have any of these that you wanted to cover at all, 13?
No, the only other, I just saw that there was AI in them. The only other one I took a brief look at was, and some people were mentioning, was Ocean Power Technologies. That's
OPTT. That's not on the mover here because it's still a penny stock, but here's what's going on with that.
And it's I'm only been keeping an eye on it because this is in that the drone theme, but underwater, like submersible drones. I think that's going to be interesting, and this has been doing really well so far this year. Let me see where we've actually gone. here on a daily chart. So we've, we did get that move up, actually, this is the highest it's been all year. So great moves that we're seeing here with this. I don't know how much more we're going to get today, but I'd be looking at around 67, 68 cents for a potential top today, because that's where I see some resistance. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff. We are now less than a minute until we open. We're ready to go. Glad to have all of you here on a Monday. I hope wherever you are, even you California and Florida folks, I hope you all are warm and all of that.
Battle.
ATL, got it.
This is coming back up to that 650 area. It's right there right now. It looks like we might be getting a move through it as we open here.
Unbelievable.
This is the setup that I was keeping an eye on here.
I'll be honest. I do agree with you that this is probably the best mover of the day. 13. I'll just admit to all of you right now, I am definitely nervous about trading a stock that's up 400%. I'm sorry. I just am. That's just how I'm wired as a trader. I would much rather have been in this early.
And like I was saying, the only thing that I think that is really going for this is just the technical setup here.
Okay.
The more we hammer this 650 area, the more it looks like we could make a move through it. We're above it right now. Let's see what happens now that we've opened.
Okay, we are open now. Let's see how this goes. Leaving BATL on the screen here, initially pulling back from this level right out of the gate.
Yep, BNAI also doing the same, losing that 65 EMA in the process. So that one trading a little bit more along the lines of how I was expecting it could. GXAI kind of holding this area here for now. Well, now it's starting to lose it.
CXAI, that's a penny stock that we didn't really talk about. That's trading down a little bit here. So it looks like all of these movers here really kind of peeled off of the open.
NAM blasted through the trend line that we drew, and then it came right back in. 477 is the high. Now we're down here at VWAP. And then VEE, this one, of course, this went lower. I don't think we were really expecting a whole lot out of this one, but now it could, being that it's put in or given everything back, this could, trade, a little bit back and forth. But I don't know how high it's going to go. I'm not expecting another revisit of VWAP just yet.
USAR, this looks like this is actually flirting with the VWAP right now. Now, this had a huge spike and pulled back. I actually think I like, as far as a trade goes, I think I like this one a little bit more.
Battle just put in new highs.
Battle did it. Big Dave. Well, right. Big Dave. Yep. Made my money on Battle. Done for the day. Big Dave. That was a big one here. Right above that 650. Let's see if we get 7 here. By the way, USAR is in fact moving through that VWAP. I think 34 could be a reasonable target here if it keeps up.
BNAI is halted. I'm going to take a look at Lithium Americas. I was just asked about that.
BNAI, by the way, that halt that you just mentioned, that's a halt to the downside.
Yes, it is. Okay, so with Lithium Americas, looking at a daily chart here, we just came up to an area where it's seen some significant resistance before last year. $7 looks to be the big area it needs to get through here, and we've been rejected so far. Now, if this does end up coming back down, the support that I see is going to be down. Interestingly enough, at 6. If you look at the this month so far, there's been some consolidation right underneath that $6 area, struggling to get above it, and then the past couple of days, or past few days, we've been above it now. But if we come back towards it, I'd be looking at $6 as support.
Okay. Really quickly here, I just noticed this. AS, remember, this is the parent company for the outdoor brand Arc'teryx that I have been in for a little bit. I really have been waiting for this thing to break 40 here and move to the upside so we can close that call position. Interestingly enough, did see an unusually I want to say aggressive sweep here. It wasn't a whole lot, though. It wasn't a lot of contracts. It was only 100 contracts. Trader only spent 27K on it. But nonetheless, an aggressive order. It looks like this moved higher in the after hours and tried to move higher here today. No new trade on this, but I will keep my eye on this because if we move above 40 here, I'm going to close this trade for whatever we get. Looking at the rest of the movers list here, noticing that Schlumberger, this is one that we actually talked about with Anne-Marie on Friday. It looks like this is actually holding the closing area on Friday. This is up here today. CoreWeave, we talked about that one here earlier. CoreWeave, nice break from that pre-market high. CoreWeave trying to go higher. For all of you that are trading CoreWeave here, what kind of targets do you have? Billy, looking at you, do you have a CoreWeave target? Lion, I know you have been trading this one too. This is a swing for you though. Are we expecting more highs here on CoreWeave? Let me know what you think. Now I'm halted to the upside.
I was getting asked about SLS, saying it was flying. It doesn't look like it's flying, but I can see that since December, it's been having some good moves, going from under $2, like it was $1.50, all the way up to now it's trading over $4, getting as high as $5. This to me looks like it's compressing right now, but as long as it holds above the 20-day SMA, it seems like it could go higher. But if we start losing that 20-day SMA, I would expect some more downside.
Yeah, looking at the 5-minute chart here, it looks like kind of a pullback on SLS. Excuse me. If I back out, you can actually see this was a consolidation area that we launched from back on Tuesday, January 20th. That's SLS.
Oh, and thank you guys for mentioning NAM halted up. We did get a halt up through that trend line.
Sure did.
So let's see here. This
still think 5 is a key level on NAM. I still do.
And there's a large seller in the way at 9 that I can see right now, just kind of hanging out there. So once we unhalt, let's see what we get, if we can push through 9 or not.
IONQ on the back of that deal here. IONQ actually popping here. Sonny, keep me posted on what you think with this whole trade. By the way, I had asked for CoreWeave targets from Lion. Lion, I appreciate the answer. Lion says he's looking for 110. Lion, weren't you a buyer in the 80s on this? So that would be a 30-point swing trade move, if my memory is correct. That would be a really nice winner. Also here, where's that other price target here that you guys gave? Thank you. Retro Texas says, I'd like to see CoreWeave back to the 140s. Now, 13, don't forget, you made a very incredible top call here on CoreWeave. Mm-hmm. And for the longest, I'm just going to remind you guys, because I actually marked it on the chart, June 4th of 2025, 13 literally called the top here at about 166.64. Let me ask you a question.
Quotes.
What?
The top in quotes. We did get a little bit of a higher print, but
well, let me ask you, do you think maybe that we return back to that level? Here's why I'm asking you this. I actually did draw 2 trend lines from that high that we put in, and we are actually approaching a possible retest of this trend line that it also lines up with a former support and resistance area. Why is it so tough for me today? So I could see this trading up higher. Do you think we break this trend and maybe put some of those highs back in play?
The things that I've been saying about CoreWeave, especially when we've been talking in happy hour, is that I could see this going to 120. What happens there? After that, I really can't say. Because we still haven't seen a broader market correction, and if that ends up happening, I could see it taking down, pulling down a lot of these tech stocks. That could be happening soon. So I still think that 120, if I was trading this, which I'm not in it, but if I was taking a position in this, 120 would be my target. If it goes past that, great. Maybe we see 140. But for me, 120 is about where I draw the line as how far.
And that lines up really nicely with the technicals on the chart, 13. So I think that's spot on line here. I apologize for getting your entry wrong. It was actually 78, so it was in the high 70s. Giddy up, Lion. Let me know when you book that so I don't accidentally give you a register ring early and jinx your trade. I don't want that bad juju at all. By the way, quick look at the broader market here today. Resilience has been a key out there. I know that there was some talk over the weekend about Trump possibly floating 100% tariffs on Canada if they agree to the China deal. Several hours later, we had Carney come out saying, I don't think I'm going to do the China deal. Here we are with the SPY. SPY now ripping through 691 to the upside. We talked about maybe 691, 692 being a potential resistance area. We had also talked last week, 13, about 690 really being a key area that the stock needs to, that SPY needs to close above. Let's see if we get it. Market here across the board, higher to the upside. SPY, Qs, Dow, all of them marching higher here.
So what do we call that with Carney? Is that a Putin trade or Poutine trade?
A Poutine trade.
Since we have a taco trade already with Trump?
Yeah, maybe we should do that. Maybe because here's my only fear on this. If we start talking about tacos and poutine on a regular basis, people are going to think this is the Food Network.
We're already
kind of guilty about that. And God forbid if Krispy Kreme puts out some news and starts running during all of this, we're going to have way too much food on our hands than anything else. I say that in jest here. I say that in jest. 692 coming on the SPY, folks.
NAM just opened, went to 5. There's a seller in the way right there. We talked about him earlier. He's it's not as big as it was before, but he's still in place there. So if now we're getting a big pull here, back down to the trend line and see if we get support from that.
I'm still thinking 5 is going to be some significant resistance. I'm still thinking maybe we pop through it. Maybe that produces another run, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Nope, I think you're right.
Tess tells us, you know what? It's too late. It's
already about food,
so we shouldn't worry. Oh, Tess. That's good.
Looks like we are getting a really big pull here in NOM. If we hold above 425, we might turn around here. But right now we are still sinking.
Took the words right out of my mouth, and I will take that. Also, noticing some NVIDIA calls here. NVIDIA with the Qs. This is straight up out of the gate. We actually talked with NVIDIA about pretty much with all of our guests here. Things really been sideways since the end of last year. Maybe now we start trading higher here. Some aggressive sweeps there on NVIDIA, it looks like. And that's following a pretty strong open here for tech.
Looks like BATL is still trying to battle its way back up through VWAP. We have GXAI that's also trying to push higher, but not really getting through this 215 area where I think there's some pretty good resistance. If we get some more volume, maybe we see 230. Might get it right here. We'll see.
CoreWeave looks like this stopped here at about 108 on that impulse move. We talked about USAR earlier. It looks like it tried to recapture that VWAP, simply did not have the strength to do that. We're actually sub 30 now on USAR as that is also pulling back. And then one more stock that I want to take a look at that's been part of our zeitgeist for some time here, Netflix. So we talked a little bit about Netflix. We talked about, is the bottom being confirmed? We actually asked Mark Petrino about this late last week. I know a lot of us kind of have entry points scoped out here for the low 80s. Netflix made a nice little move higher there on Friday, tried to go higher here again today, but pulling back. This is basically where we closed on Friday. Let me know, is anyone swinging Netflix here? Do we feel strongly enough about this yet? Curious what the group thinks on Netflix. Google, another one of our Mag 7 names here today. That's also popping. Seeing some somewhat unusual buying here, but nothing really outsized here. Don't want to take a whole lot there on NVIDIA. Okay, here we go. Another AS call sweep here. This is 450 contracts. These are for the June quarter. So this expires June 18th. They're looking at the 42 and a half. They spent 180 grand on that trade, sweeping up 450 contracts. I've seen multiple call sweeps for AS, which is not a normally traded name on the options market. Maybe we have some more upside here. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Tesla, by the way, I know, again, just kind of sticking with some of the Mag 7, they're going to report earnings on Wednesday after hours. Tesla pulling back here today. We'll see if Tesla maybe revisits 420. I think first here it's going to have to deal with 430, 435. Good mention here from MD Trades. Mike Intrader, the CEO of CoreWeave, is actually on CNBC right now talking about AI demand as his stock continues to pop 15+% here today.
So AI is still in demand.
No question about it. Seems to be the theme here today. Apple actually made a pretty decent pre-market move and is trying to go higher here. So it looks like 250 so far is holding on Apple. Izzy was asking earlier about LAC, that I guess on the minerals theme that's going on here. LAC unfortunately pulled back basically to where it closed on Friday. We'll see if it bounces here. LAC in a 6 handle.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking for LAC to get support is around that $6 area because there was some consolidation earlier this month right there. So I'd be looking at support down there. Okay. Looks like NOM still printing lower, but trying to find support. May get it from some of this consolidation in the pre-market, but it hasn't turned around yet. As a matter of fact, the momentum looks like it still wants to send it lower. So we might see another print beneath 4, maybe the 65 EMA.
APLD, this is another one on the AI theme here, this ripping out of the gate. Congrats to all of our APLD holders. I know there's been a lot of people in our ecosystem trading this from what feels like the mid-teens here. The stock now almost $41. And then Dr. Ben mentioning that IONQ is your trade here today. Remember, we talked about that news. IONQ above 50 and on the highs here. This actually already survived one pullback here today and is right back on to some of those highs. I got to think here, IONQ, think 55 is going to be your next real big resistance there.
I'm looking at the daily chart for Ionic, and one thing that stands out to me is how it's riding the 200-day SMA up. But it's also struggling with the 50-day SMA. You can count the number of times this thing is closed over the 50-day SMA, and you get to 3, and it's like, nope, now it's closed beneath it. So no 3 closes above the 50-day SMA. But if we start here today, this would be the first of 3. So look for at least 3 closes above the 50-day SMA. That might be the signal we need that tells us that this is going higher.
I'll tell you what, IONQ here, this actually does look like this is trying to push higher here. This has some early strength here. Ben, let me know what kind of target you have and what the time frame of your trade is on this. Again, more call sweeps here on AS. So I maybe I'm noticing this because I'm already in it and it's my own personal bias, but I don't often see repeat AS call sweeps here. Again, these looking out to $40 in the June quarter or in the June month, the June expiry, I think I should say. Meta, which we talked about with our guest here. How's Meta doing here today? This trading a little bit higher than Friday's high, although really not pushing away yet. Some of these other Mag 7 names look to be a little bit better here today. Palantir is trading higher above 170. And Bitcoin, by the way, that reversed a little bit, tried to recapture 88,000.
You know, what's going to be interesting when it comes to Meta is whether or not their earnings are going to send this back over the 200-day SMA or get a reversal from there. That's now the big moving average that's been keeping the price action from going higher, the 200-day SMA.
And don't forget, with Meta, we have earnings on Wednesday, 13. That's
what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to take us through it or get rejected at that site.
Yeah. Shazar's asking, can you please suggest buy levels for Ondas? So very difficult for me to do that just because I have such a low cost basis in Ondas, and this has been kind of a long story for me. But looking at the daily chart, here's kind of what we're thinking. We talked about this before. We talked about a pullback towards this 1170, maybe even 1150 area. If this holds, just based on looking at the chart, this might actually make a decent area for entry. But I just want to caution you a little bit. I think you can be patient on this, and I think you can wait and confirm that this holds. Right now, Ondas currently, a lot of these daily candles actually have wicks to the upside. This is in a downtrend from its recent push to 15. I do think if this can hold here, maybe 1150, maybe we make another setup to try and take those highs out here on Ondas. This look like a bull flag for you at all?
It does look like it has a really good setup to send it higher. I think the thing that I'd be watching is whether or not we can reverse off the 20-day SMA, which we've been getting support since Friday. We're getting support from it today. So as long as we don't start closing beneath that, I'd say that we could see this turn back up. 14 is going to be the big spot to get through if we do. But on the other hand, if we do lose the 20-day SMA, start closing beneath that, I think this goes to 10.
Okay, there you go. Good stuff. And then that 10 then would be another area. If you hold that, perhaps that is a possible buy spot. Just understand, at least with my own personal position, now with the remaining shares that I have, my cost basis is under $1 on this. So when you're asking me about where am I going to add, I'd actually probably look to trade calls around this. I'm still kind of looking at this 1150-ish area. Good stuff, though. I appreciate that. Okay. Let's see, and this is actually bouncing all right here today. This looks like it's trading with the broader market, to be quite honest. Seeing some USAR calls here. This actually does look like this wants to roll lower here, but seeing some call buying into this. Those are the 41 calls that expire March 20th.
Saul is saying that MP Materials is in buy zone. It's oversold. Let's take a look at MP.
Okay, let's do that.
MP's one of those that I've been keeping an eye on for a long time, ever since it came up. I think this was a SPAC, right? Ever since it SPAC'd.
This also pretty decent range on some of the news here with a lot of these minerals and rare earth, but this now pulling back here. It's actually down 3.5+% today. Big
pullback from the opening position. I mean, it's it was the highest open we've had so far this year. Is actually the highest open we've had since October. And the selling that we're getting here, I don't necessarily think this is oversold. Maybe intraday it could be, but on a daily chart, we could still go much lower. I would think maybe 62. You probably get some really good support if we end up going that low. That's where you have that's about where you have the 20-day SMA, but also historically that was a resistance area and a support area. Resistance last year, support this year. So if we do end up coming down there, I'd be looking at 62 as support.
Okay. Another, I guess I want to say popular AI name, NBIS. So this has recently been a somewhat volatile. It looks like this is doing a good job holding the 65 EMA on the daily here. So maybe this is setting up for a move higher. I got to be honest, I really wouldn't want this to break down beneath those low 90s. I'd probably just wait a little bit if that happened. We'll see if we can recapture 100 here. I would say that's definitely a key level for today. And then Jay bringing up a good point there. MP doesn't have the greatest action here today, and indeed that's the case. I think we're actually looking for that for a little bit longer time frame. But Jay also mentioning that Generac got whacked here. So Generac, this was a possible play on some of that ice storm, all of that. I think 13. Didn't you say last week that this works better with hurricanes?
Yeah, this is better as a hurricane play.
Absolutely, that seems to be the case. I know there was some talk about maybe preparing for the ice storm and the winter storm like we would prepare for a hurricane. I saw that from some of the weather folks that I follow on X, but clearly Generac not necessarily responding to that here today.
I think what we needed to see was a certain number of power outages in order for this and other, portable or power generation companies to do really well. And even though there's been a substantial amount of homes that have lost power, I don't think it hit that magic number they were looking for. Mine hasn't run. I've heard some in my neighborhood run, but not for very long. So it doesn't seem like the winter storm, at least in my area, has had such an impact to where everybody's losing power. I think that's what it might be. But yeah, the Generac trade, that's much better for hurricane season, which goes from June to November.
Okay. Robert here asking about SMCI. Do you guys think SMCI could recover the $60 level with the AI push? All right. So that would be a double from where we're at here on SMCI. Remember, the big thing on SMCI was the big move down from some of the accounting issues that it had. Yeah. When we had talked about that, we generally said, when stocks have accounting issues, this is probably a stay away. Looking at this chart here, I'll be honest. Could it trade back up and recapture the 60? Yeah, it could. And I think that the AI theme represents a catalyst to do that. I don't know that it's going to do this yet. And I'll be honest, I don't feel totally confident about this company yet with some of its reporting. I don't have a really good feeling on that one, Robert. I would say anyone else strong feelings here on SMCI at all?
I have strong feelings, not positive ones.
Okay. At least you're honest.
Yeah. I mean, well, I could maybe see this go back up to 40, but I don't know about 60. I mean, the accounting issues, as you pointed out, that was a big deal to me. And, the more I read into it, the more I was like, well, they could just do this all over again. So if you're not, dealing with the people that have caused the problem that it had before, to where you had a short report that, basically cut the price of the stock in half and then cut it in half again. I don't know that I want to necessarily touch this. I'd want to see completely new management if I was going to get into this, and I don't see that happening. So not a trade for me, not an investment for me.
Yeah, and I think that's actually one of the things we talked about when this was fresh in the news cycle, is that we actually wanted to see that management team really kind of be cleaned out before we felt better about it. Really quickly here, Yassine mentioning that NVIDIA reversed on the comments, and indeed that happened here. I don't have the CNBC interview. I didn't have the volume on. Thankfully, if you're a Benzinga Pro member here, you probably had Squawk on. Charlie has been squawking this. Looks like Jensen was talking about demand. He once again used the line, demand for our products is incredible. Not the first time he's been talking about that. That event inevitably caused NVIDIA shares to pop. He goes on to say, we're in the largest infrastructure build out in human history. Apparently, that is what reversed the stock and moved it lower. So perhaps there's some worry about how much is being spent here. Goes on to say, NVIDIA Home Depot spokesperson said all of our stores are open today. Okay, so this was a second squawk that got transcribed there. I apologize about that. But anyway, NVIDIA reversing its pop here, and it looks like that was on the back of Jensen Wong comments. He's still on NVIDIA, or he's still on CNBC, and CoreWeave actually still holding about 14% higher on the back of this interview.
Lots of those stocks that we were looking at this morning coming back in. BNAI down to 200 EMA on the 5-minute. BATL still having trouble with VWAP, getting rejected multiple times so far out of the gate. Now we're looking at potential test of the 65 EMA. These might need more time. The only one that seems to be doing really good right now is NAM, NAMM. That just recently hit a high of 530.
Okay, and then Jacob, good to see you here. Thoughts long for GLSI. We had news from that last week, right? This is Greenwich Life Sciences.
I saw that was moving this morning too.
Yeah, so we had news here on Thursday in the pre-market. It caused the stock to pop. It did one of those things where it retraced like 80% of the move. Thursday here, that news was FDA approval for its commercially manufactured GLP-2. So this is going to be part of your GLP theme. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a trade back here today. I'll be honest, Jacob, let me ask about GLSI. I have a GLP-1 expert who actually did some self-testing on some of these products. I will ask about this. I don't have necessarily a line on this. I'm not sure if this is going to be, I will say the chart actually doesn't look terrible. Looks like it took that news, digested that news, and is now trying to trade a little bit higher here on GLSI. I don't have any targets, no position on this name, though.
Yeah, GSL, I was just looking at something with regard to that, and Qualcomm caught my attention. But so GLSI, the thing that stands out to me the most on the daily chart is how we're still struggling to get above and hold above 30. We have no closes above there, despite having many prints above that level. It does look like it's trying. We are making some, on these pullbacks, we are making some higher lows. So we might be setting up for a push through 30. Don't know if we're going to get that this week or not, but it certainly looks like we're setting up to try and push through 30. But that constant rejection is also making me nervous. And I would just kind of point out that 30 is the big area of that's of resistance that we have to get over. I don't know if we're going to get through it or not. Maybe we do, but $30, that's the standout number for me.
Yeah, and I think that does stand out pretty good on the chart. Sani mentioning Kit here. Didn't we talk about this one also involved in the underwater drone theme here? So I know this has been kind of a day trade instrument off of the scanner here, but this actually has a theme that we've been talking about recently. This actually ramping on pretty good volume here today. I didn't see if there was any news on this. Let me check real quick.
Zero news this year.
Okay. Zero news this year. Okay, maybe we're getting ready for something. Stock's up 25%. Short interest here, 14%. So it is a little bit shorted.
Yeah, and I just think that we're seeing some of that theme, that underwater drone theme.
And I mean, think about it. If you believe that we're going to keep being in a theme that favors small caps ahead of big caps, and you think that the drone theme is a big one, I could see people taking spec plays on some of these littler names like that. I feel like the risk is baked in there.
Yeah, and this has been trying to push through and get above the 50-day SMA, pretty much all year. And today we've actually got a nice big move through it. So if we hold above here, we could see a silver cross happen shortly afterwards.
Okay, and then I appreciate this. Retro Texas said someone on YouTube was talking about it on Friday. That may have increased some of that interest. And indeed, this stock has 12.9 million in the float, so it's not as thin as some of those other stocks that can really kind of be pushed around by newsletters and YouTubers. But as 13 was discussing here, with this fitting into a theme, there might be more of that going here. This is actually a nice move here from penny territory to dollar territory here today.
Yeah, if there's going to be a big resistance level that stands out to me, it's going to be 150. That would be the big area. And this could run up to there, and then we could run into some resistance, come back in. But I think we could find ourselves looking at this and seeing a fight to get above 150.
BATL here. This is actually at risk of losing the VWAP here. So we had talked quite a bit about this $6.75 to $7 really being some resistance here. Just have not had strength at all. Stock was already up 400% at one point or close to it. This now pulling back to the VWAP. Look out. I think if we lose VWAP here, probably going back to a 4 handle would be my guess.
Yeah, I like that whole sideways price action from earlier this morning. That was between 350 and 4.
CRML, this is Critical Minerals. This has been another really good mover. This was moving on the whole Greenland thing. Looks like this is actually pulling back too. This is losing all of its pre-market gap here today and actually losing some of the constructive trading that it did on Friday afternoon as well. That's CRML.
Folks also mentioning Move. This was another mover that I noticed, and I probably should have said something because now it's halted the upside. A very nice move here, going from about 1550 all the way up to 1970. So if this on halts, we might see a pop up over 20, and then it could see some selling right afterwards. Really nice, for lack of a better word, move. And then let's see here. What else we got going on?
Let's see.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I'm just looking here. I see a penny stock moving, SLGB. Oh, okay. So Smart Logistics Global. Feel like we've traded this one recently. Sorry, I wasn't on this one earlier. It looks like this is popping on volume. We had a big move here on Wednesday of last week. Let me remind myself what that was about. Wednesday the 21st. So it came after hours. No, I don't think that was it.
Meanwhile, SLV Super League Gaming, that's having a almost 10% day. Looks like 715 might provide the resistance, maybe 715. That area right in there, big resistance as it was in the after hours on Friday.
This SLGB here, this was actually just moving on retail investor sentiment back on Wednesday. I didn't have anything else fresh for that. Looks like it's happening again here.
Big hurt giving us the price action here. Move continuing up, non-pulling back. Retro found the kit mentioned on YouTube. That was from Market Beat.
Okay.
Izzy wants me to look at ASPI. Let me look at ASPI.
Hey, I appreciate this. Sly Dog. I don't ask enough for this. I get so focused on the stocks moving, I forget to ask for this. I appreciate you. Thanks to us and you folks for joining us. Please like and subscribe. It's free, it's easy, and it's a good way to support what we're doing. Appreciate you, Sly Dog.
Looking at ASPI, which is ASP Isotopes, this one recently had a silver cross that took it up through the 200-day SMA. We had 2 closes above it. Today would have been the third, and it's not over yet, but we are losing that moving average. So I'm a little bit concerned about why that is. $8 apparently makes this a very important support resistance area. We had it as support back in November, lost it, been struggling to get back above that level and the 200-day SMA. So if we do continue lower from here, I would expect to see some kind of support kicking around, if it doesn't happen sooner, 675. That's from the lows in July last year, where we were getting support before we went higher, and it's also where the same area where the 20-day and 50-day SMAs are. So if we are going to go further south, I would think that that area right there around 675 is going to provide support.
Okay, and I'm thinking maybe even 750 here on ASPI. This continues to pull. This is weak here today. Yasin here saying, I can't trade NAMM in Thinkorswim. It doesn't let you buy. Yasin, you might not have been here the morning that we discussed this. There was another chatter here who said he had success. I haven't done this myself, but the chatter was reporting that he had success calling the broker and asking for a waiver from that. Like apparently you can opt out of that. Again, never done it myself. But that was a report that we got a couple of weeks ago. Brent here mentioning that goodbye, top 2 gainers, LOL. And we were kind of worried about that, Brent, if you recall. We're kind of trying to draw attention to the fact that several of these are up quite a bit. Now they're really pulling back. The opposite, however, some of those memory names, you guys that are on this one, it's worth checking every single day. SanDisk, look at this. This thing pulled to what, 455-ish out of the open? We've already bounced 30-plus points on SanDisk here. This thing has gone red to green already. Let's take a look at Micron. This one's actually still red, although looking like red to green might be coming here. WDC also fits into this. This up another 4.77%. Holy smokes. This actually reports earnings this week, by the way, Thursday after hours. But I'll tell you what, between this and Apple, that might be a wild session after hours 13.
Oh, I think we're going to get a lot of volatility this week.
Okay.
Kit.
Macro minute, corporate earnings this week.
Kit, 125 now. This thing is just tearing up right now. It's I was looking at 150 as resistance area. We're just 25 cents away from that now. Ocean Power, this one had a good start, went up to almost 71 cents, and then this came right back in to the 65 EMA. So not having the same kind of day that Kit is. Still had a pretty good morning though.
Zach here mentioning we also have a government shutdown factor that might create some uncertainty. I've kind of put that on the back burner here. Number one, because I think things can change on a day-to-day basis. But number two, the last time we had a government shutdown, we had 10% in the SPY. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to have that again, but I am definitely trying to weigh some of the more immediate things that are on our table first here. Like I said at the outset of the show, we got a lot going on this week. We'll see. I don't have any trade around a potential government shutdown.
Well, it's starting to be a little bit more of a I don't want to say a likelihood, but I can't think of another word because it's kind of getting pushed in that direction because there are certain people in Congress that are looking to do a shutdown in light of the Minnesota occurrences that are happening out there. They want to,
I think
do something with funding with ICE.
I think my only point on that is I'll kind of wait that one out. I don't know that I necessarily need to pre-position for that catalyst. Yeah, that's all. We'll see how that all shakes out. You're welcome, Yassine.
EVTV turning around here, by the way. Really nice reversal happening here. Now, if we can hold above this, let's see if we can get to 3. If we can get over 3 and hold above that, that'd be a really good sign. But right now, we got to hold above 285.
Okay, we'll see there. And then SKYT, which is the other one that I was looking at, that's the one with the merger here earlier. This did pull back from that 34, but really hasn't broken down and has not given up the 65 EMA. So this one's still hanging around here.
Kit is still going. Well, it was until I just said that. Now we're getting a pull. It went up to 130. This is a fantastic move. Talked about it.
I know. I was just joking.
Now we're getting some turnaround on some of these other names. It looks like GXAI following a sell-off here. Got some support from the 65. We'll see if it can turn around. Lots of sellers on the way back up, so don't even know if we're going to get back up there. But if the buyers step in, we could maybe see a retest of VWAP.
SLGB, this is actually at the top of the movers list. This is actually trading on the highest volume within the past 1 minute. This new highs here looks like $3 is your resistance. SLGB up 127% right now. Remember, we didn't have any news on this one. Clearly, volume taking this higher here. $3 resistance. See what the daily chart has for us on this. This was previous resistance, was it? Yeah, sure was. $3 was a previous level. I'm not surprised we're running into that again.
OSO9 has got a Kalshi bet for yes on a shutdown before February. So that's going to be some, not something necessarily we need to watch, but an indicator that we could keep an eye on to see what the general consensus is on a shutdown. We might be able to make a better trade plan on that.
I haven't taken any of those prediction market trades yet, and I'm still beaming. 13, we kind of joked that this is a semi-victory Monday for me. Yeah. I hit 2 parlays yesterday. I mean, I absolutely crushed the football weekend. So I haven't had that drive to maybe move to some of those prediction markets. But to your point, I'm definitely looking at them to see where the sentiment lies.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying at all. We should not. I don't think anybody should be gambling like that. I'm just saying it's just an indicator. It's something we can look at to see what the general consensus is among people who are putting their money where their mouth is.
I'm sorry for sounding like a broken record here, but I'm seeing even more AS call sweeps here. I'm seeing a lot of activity. I'm actually looking at the time and sales in my broker now, not just the unusual options that are flagged by our algorithm here. There are a lot of interest in the June calls, the June 40 calls in particular. There are several folks in the March calls. My existing position is in those March calls. There's a lot of open interest in that strike, but it looks like there's some interest here. Ticker AS to the upside. $40 looks to be the key level there.
SLGB became a late 100% mover today.
Sure did.
And we got a lot of volume in the past 5 minutes here. That's took it up to 3. Backed off a little bit, but Was there? We looked at this. What was the news on this one today?
I don't think there was any news on this. Let me make sure.
I don't see it either. I don't see any news.
Yeah, we had nothing fresh here. Yep. It was, in fact, the piece of news that we had the last day that this really ran was that it was just trading volume, probably from retail investors, that was driving it. Looks like that's, again, here we are at the $3 resistance. So he actually took it here. See if we build and move higher or pull back. I have no position on SLGB. I'm a little bit more conservative today than in general.
Yeah, it looks like 350 could be, 350 or 4. Just looking at a daily chart, potential area where this might find more resistance if it doesn't find it here at 3. If this goes beyond 3, I'd say 350 is going to be your next big resistance area.
Okay.
Finally getting a pullback here with KIT.
Yeah.
So EVTV still holding above VWAP, but there's a large seller in the way at 290. If he gets taken out, this probably will end up seeing 310.
I've got EVTV battling right now at the VWAP. We just crossed above it. By the way, SanDisk, more new highs here today. SanDisk now up 3.65%. VZLA, this is Vizsla Silver. Shares of precious metals are trading higher as investors seek safe haven assets after President Trump recently announced he would impose a 100% tariff on Canada. So it looks like this was trading higher on that. This is actually down out of the open. 720 looks to be a key level there. That's VZLA. That's silver. A silver stock, I should say. Uh-oh, Peloton's on the scanner. What's happening there? Nothing. That volume's actually a little bit low there.
Yeah, Sel, kind of makes you wonder what kind of game you would have had yesterday if Knicks hadn't nixed an ankle.
So my entire chat thread was in unanimous agreement that if Knicks plays yesterday, the Broncos win.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Agreement.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And the fact that he wasn't there is, I think, the big reason why they didn't win. I mean, it's just tough when you get put in that position. You just have so little time to prepare. SLGB really pulling back, by the way, now.
Lion here says, I own that VZLA. It has a big project. Can you give us any details on the big project? Like where is it? What is it? What kind of numbers are we expecting? Do you have any of that handy? And Izzy, I think I agree with you. I think I was kind of saying with some of my other football buddies, it really kind of felt like the Super Bowl was last night with the Rams Seahawks. We'll see here. Izzy, I'm in agreement. I think the Hawks win that game. Look at silver here. SLV 101 now. This actually looks like this is going to roll higher here.
The big project that you're referring to for Vizsla, is that the Panuco silver gold project in Sinaloa, Mexico?
Yeah, it's in Mexico. It's the high grade silver.
That's got to be the Panuco one then.
Are there? You said Sinaloa. Are there cartel worries with this project at all? Security issues, worries about any of that? I don't know. I'm asking out of ignorance. That's an honest question. In Mexico, so they're developing all of that stuff. Okay, well, stock's responding to it today. Thomas wants to take a look at TMQ, Trilogy Metals. This should also be moving on the same thing. Interestingly enough, this actually came back in. What do you think? This holds the 200 EMA at 645. Not a whole lot of movement here. I actually think there might be a better shorter-term trade on this. And Intel getting another mention. What's Intel at here today?
Lower.
So what did we talk about with this one? Oh, it sure did. And actually broke our trend line. Look at this, too. Look at this. It broke our trend line on Friday, back-tested our trend line, couldn't recapture, went lower. Lower we go here now. What's our next level here on Intel now that we're through this trend line that we wanted to hold?
Well, I need to see what happens with the rest of the day today, because this is the day that we are losing the 20-day SMA. But if we are going to close beneath it, then I'd be keeping an eye on the price moving down to the 50-day SMA or $40. That's the next area I think we're going to go. If we can't reverse and recapture the 20-day SMA, that's where I think we're going.
Yeah, to my eye here, 13. It sure looks like 40 is next to the downside, followed by 37.60 as your possible support.
And I know you folks are out there. Congratulations to everybody who was selling in the 50s.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, Lion, another congratulations. You were saying that this was going to pull back for sure. Well, it looks like we've already done that here.
Yep. Nom, man, this thing continues to print new highs. Every time it pulls back to the VWAP, that's kind of been your entry. Even if we printed beneath the VWAP, that's been your entry because it's gone higher every time. Now, that's not going to last forever, so don't think that that's just going to be how it's going to end up for the rest of the day. One of these times, it's going to start trading underneath the VWAP, and it's going to stay under it. That's not yet.
This is not Nom, dude. This is bowling. There are rules.
There are rules. Over the
Sorry,
line.
I had to, man.
Market zero.
Market zero, dude. We talked about some of these financials. These sold off last week. COF, this actually might be bottoming here. See if it can recapture 220. That's COF. SKYT, this is another one that we had talked about. Grats on your short on this one. Whoever's calling, that was So9, right? You were talking about shorting SKYT. Looks like we really couldn't get above 34. Now we're probing some of these areas lower here. I got to think this 3270, which is going to be your 200 EMA on the 5, probably where it tries its next support.
TMQ? What's going on with TMQ?
SOSX. Remember, we talked with Ed from Direxion here. Remember that SOXL and SOXS, Direxion's best products here. These are mostly the most actively traded. You wanted me to take a look at TMQ 13?
I'm just looking. It was getting mentioned, so it looks like it's catching some support and trying to turn around here. Would need to see some more volume out of this. I don't know what it's going to end up doing once it reaches. Hold on, let me look real quick on my broker chart. Once it reaches the 65 EMA, it seems like approaching that area, it runs into sellers. So need to recapture that, and then VWAP's right above it.
Okay.
What else is looking good? It looks like we're getting a pullback here from Move. That moved up to $21.95, almost $22, and now it's back down at VWAP.
CoreWeave, possible bounce from its pullback here to its VWAP. Actually, and looking at this, I really think that the entry was probably better a point lower from here. This actually almost feels like a bit of a chase on that bounce. Ondas pulled back a little bit here. That actually lost 12. So for those of you asking about possible Ondas load zones, I really think you want to watch 1150 to 1175 now for a potential hold there.
What else?
OPTT, this pulled back, found some support at the 65 EMA on the 5.
Wow. ALB is over almost to 192.
I feel like it was just yesterday where we were talking about the stock under $100.
This thing moves so fast.
Yeah, it really does.
And somebody was mentioning GEVs also. Yeah. Today I see that.
Yeah, GEV. This to me, 700 is still the story here. This is one that we've talked about quite a bit. Let's see here if GEV can really poke above this. Remember when we initially talked about this, we talked about an island here, this gap fill that really couldn't get rolling. But I really do think that the 690 area in here, we recapture this. I think we probably retry those highs there at 730s.
Yeah, and I have a longer term prospect on this, and I'm looking for 800 to 1,000.
Yeah. Not bad though.
Lots of names not doing too bad at all.
ASML seeing those are some big puts. Yeah, 1.46 million. It looks like, wow. Those are in the money puts. $1.46 million trade bet there with earnings in 2 days. Wonder if somebody knows something there. Those expire January 30th. Those are this week.
So they're taking an earnings trade?
I think so. Let me take a look here real quick. ASML. Let me see.
Because that has earnings in 2 days.
I know that's what I'm just trying to decipher based on what I'm seeing here. It sure looks like. Let me see if I can gain anything else from my broker here real quick.
And you said those are what kind? The calls or puts?
Okay, these are they're puts. So here, sorry, let me try and find that again here. I lost it there. Okay, here it is. Here's the trade itself. It looks like the 1460. Is that a 1460? That ends Jan. Those are the weeklies. 1460. I'm sorry, it's the 1455. It's the 1455. There were 2,000 contracts traded at that strike here today. Looks like traders spent 1.46 million on that. That looks like, okay, so really quickly, that looks like a bearish bet ahead of earnings on ASML. That's what it looks like to me.
I was going to say that looks like they're just getting ready for the downside that's going to potentially happen, because I'm just looking at the daily chart. This thing has had a really nice run all year into the earnings. And what happens when the stock runs into earnings? It tends to sell off.
Yeah, those generally have been the earnings performers that have been less than desirable if they've run into earnings.
Now, if we do get this to sell, the 20-day SMA is down at 1250. And that's a little more than 11.5% away from where we're at right now. So I could certainly see something like that happening. It's extended on the daily chart. We're over 11% away from the 20-day SMA. 1300 looks like that's going to be a potential support area on the way down, but it might just be a bounce level. Yeah, I'd say that this looks like it could be coming back in off of earnings. Looks like that's a entire possibility. Entirely possible.
Bitcoin still holding higher here, trying for 89K. We'll see if that retakes it. And then Netflix, we talked about Netflix pulling back a little bit out of the open here. Looks like it found some support there at 85.
After losing 150% of this move, Battle is starting to reverse. Might only
Do
come
we
back.
feel better if it's shaking out some of those weaker hands that bought higher?
I don't know if we're going to see a very high prints above the 65 EMA. I would think 5 is going to provide the biggest resistance if we get back up there. I'm not sure we're going to see this one recover from such a big move and a big drop. If it's going to come back, I don't think it's going to happen until later today, but this looks like it's going to end up going lower following a retest of the 65 EMA and $5.
I would agree with you here. And in fact, for this to go higher here, I would really like to see a recapture of the VWAP. I currently have that at 497 in my broker, 494 here in TradingView. So right in that same area. We'll see if it gets back up there. And then you folks are mentioning that the SPY and the Qs are up here. And indeed, we talked about the market actually. Market was resilient. It was lower this morning. It was lower in the overnight session. It got bought back closer to balance prior to the open. But since the open, the entire market has moved higher here. 693.30, your high print on the SPY.
Linus saying that NAC is popping. I saw that he was saying NAC earlier. This is probably just up. Oh, here we go. The Trump administration acquired a 10% stake in the company.
That's the U.S. rare earth.
That's NAK. Now, what's interesting about this is that this is the one that needs the not just Army Corps of Engineers approval, but also approval from the EPA. To start this whole project. And this has been one of those things that's been getting a lot of pushback, not just from environmental groups, but also from like Tucker Carlson, Don Trump Jr. But seeing that the Trump administration is taking a 10% stake in the company leads me to believe that they're going to get past those hurdles and they're going to get this project going.
Yeah, to me now, the headline from today, I believe this is on the Trump administration taking a 10% stake in U.S. rare earth. So didn't they previously take a stake in NAC?
No, it says, I'm sorry. It says USA rare earth. I'm sorry. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is moving in sympathy with that as opposed to a direct thing.
I misread that. You're right. So yeah, I think then if that's still the case where they have to get through those hurdles, then that's what we need to wait for. And we should be hearing more about that soon. I think toward the end of January, I think maybe even today, we were supposed to get some news about the situation with the EPA. So there might be some more news coming with this NAK pretty soon. So sorry for misreading that. I thought this was the company that the administration had taken a stake in, but it was USA Rare Earth. So yeah, I would keep an eye on what's going on with the.
I saw some movement on IDAI today. Did we have any news out of that?
No, I don't think we did.
No. Okay, so this was just some pre-market movement. Yeah, I don't see anything fresh here either. We're kind of waiting on news for that. That's the authentication verification theme that we're kind of a little early on. This is one of our thinner, more owned names that we're just kind of holding. But nothing notable there.
Yeah, that's it's a large gold and copper project. That's right, but it's also in a very environmentally sensitive area where there's also like I believe it's salmon fisheries that rely on that very same area. It's like $100 million a year industry out there that could be disrupted with mining. So that's kind of one of the hurdles that it's dealing with when it comes to the EPA and then also the Army Corps of Engineers. So still a bunch of hurdles to get through, but I think there might be some news coming with this pretty soon. Matter of fact, let me look and see if there's anything on the company homepage. Well, we still have several minutes left.
And really quickly here, thinking about it was asking if USAR does uranium. I don't think so. This to me looks like magnets and the rare metals that are required for those rare earth magnets. I don't think uranium is part of this. I don't see it here. I don't remember that being the case. No, yeah, this is all about I don't see anything here with. I can also check the company homepage. No, this is about materials and magnets. This is not a uranium issue.
Okay. Just real quick, I'm trying to find some information here on NAK. Looking back at some of the past updates, they did talk about nominating or appointing a new independent director prior to the end of this month. I think that is what happened earlier this month. Yes, a new board member and audit and risk committee chair. So they ended up doing that. Looking further down here, because I know that we're waiting on some of the court rulings on this. Don't see anything in there. I'm sorry, I don't have that court information, but they are going through some of the things they said they were going to do in their last update. So just gotta wait and see what is going to come out of that court suit with the EPA.
Okay.
Oh, BNA has halted up now?
You know what? I took my eyes off that halt scanner. Good mention, Izzy. And then Izzy, regarding Netflix. So do you think the bottom is in? Do you think that what 82, 83 pretty much marks the bottom on Netflix? And then you're in that. So I think your trade is green. So I think you're looking for like 90 to 100, if I recall. Let me know if you're going to stop if that thing breaks or if this is more long-term on Netflix.
Jesus.
Okay?
Fat fingering. No, I just fat fingered a letter, so it kind of got the wrong result. I'm just trying to get some more information on the summary judgment brief from Alaska Federal Court. That's what I was looking for with regard to NAK. It's just something that has been interesting to me. I want to see if they're going to end up allowing this to happen or not. And the court process is going to probably end up dragging this on for a while. So we might not get any material update with NAK until later this year.
Okay.
All right.
Actually seeing some more USAR puts getting bought. This chart looks no bueno here today. Could turn around, but man, oh man, doesn't feel great here today. And then Boyle, just as a quick mention here, this is your natural gas Widowmaker. This is the real wild ETF here. This is actually down from its pre-market highs, although it is trying to bounce. We'll see if we've got that. All right, 13, you ready to do the wrap here for today?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go back to our movers. Let's take a look and wrap up where our movers sit here today. We're going to start with BATL. Remember, we had these two humongous gappers this morning. Neither of them are higher here. So BATL sure looked like it was really flirting with maybe, I don't know, 780s in the pre-market there, excuse me, 680s in the pre-market there, just shy of 7. This thing has lost its VWAP. It's lost its 20-day, its 65 EMA. We're really looking for maybe a support there on the 200 EMA. What do you got on BATL?
Yeah, after losing that 65 EMA, that turns it into a resistance level. So coming back up here where like the price is doing right now, we're about to test this and we'll see if it can recapture it. If it does recapture that 65 EMA, the next resistance is going to be up at VWAP. But this is really starting to spread out. I see a lot of sellers up around 5. So even if we do recapture the 65 EMA, it's going to be met with a bunch of selling. And this is also, it was up substantially this morning, up over almost 400%. And now we're down to just 260%. I'd expect this to come in a little, some more. Mm-hmm. And if we do get that, then you're going to see support around 350 and the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. But if we happen to reverse here and start taking it higher, those upside resistance areas I just mentioned, what I'd be looking at next.
Yeah, this is trying. It's trying to go to the VWAP as we speak. We'll see. Next one here is going to be BNAI. This too was like 230+% in the pre-market. This thing has lost all of its moving averages. It is trying to bounce here, but I think this is going to need to recapture at least the 200 EMA. You got any thoughts here on BNAI?
It might get back up to the 200 EMA, maybe even the VWAP, but this is another one that up significantly on news from Friday. So I don't think that this is it's gonna probably end up having the same amount of struggle that BATL is to hold up at these levels. I would think that this also comes back in, and if it does, you're probably looking at support around $20 if it loses that 25 area that it got from earlier.
GXAI, this ran into resistance right at its VWAP, got swatted down, actually lost the 65 EMA. Sure looks like the 200 EMA is next here. I see a lot of weakness, GXAI.
Yeah, this one will be likely also coming back in. And maybe this one ends up performing better later on in the day. Some of these may come back later on. But for now, in the morning, we're just seeing lots of downside. This is following a bit of a trend down. So if we do turn around here, I'd be looking for a snap of that trend. But that's going to mean that it needs to retake the 65 EMA and the VWAP. So still haven't found support yet. Maybe that comes down around 145, but it's looking like this is going to visit the 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
Okay, NAMM, Namib Minerals. This is moving on the minerals macro headline here. This did actually break above the trend line that we put from our pre-market highs. We'll see if perhaps we backtest that. Currently, we're working on the 9 EMA. I've got the VWAP and the 15 EMA beneath this. What do you think here on NAMM?
Well, so far this morning, this going under the VWAP has presented buying opportunities because it then comes back up through VWAP and goes higher. So don't know how long that's going to last. To me, it's starting to look like we might be seeing the end of that as the momentum has really slowed and it's starting to roll over. So if we start getting multiple 5-minute candles to close underneath the VWAP, I think that's the signal that this is probably not going to come back up. And then that means your support's going to be down at that trend line that we drew. Beneath the trend line, it's going to be the 65 EMA. But I think the thing to watch for, if we are going to get that rollover, is if we start closing multiple times underneath that VWAP.
Okay. All right. 13. Really good stuff here. Really good start to the week. We're going to be back at this again tomorrow. Any closing words for the group?
Been a fun morning. Hope everybody's going to stay warm and keep all their pipes safe from breaking.
That's right.
Make sure that you're all taking care of yourselves before you take care of your accounts. We don't want anybody not being able to make it here tomorrow. So until then, folks, I'll see you then. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay warm, stay safe, and goodbye.
All right. Take care of yourself, 13. That is it for us today. We will be back at this again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Monday out there, folks. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused.